Alrighty then. Hello everyone, my name is Caden, and welcome back to more Steins 0. Ooh, if I could stop yawning, that'd be nice. Last time, we're in the middle of the bad ending. That's not a joke. Gehenna Stigma, from what I have read in my guide, is apparently a bad ending, so... Yippee!
But you see a lot of anime and manga, don't you? A little sister who doesn't want to lose her big purr runs up to a girlfriend and says, "Let's have a competition."
For some reason, Yuki seemed incredibly enthused. Oh yeah, Daru and Yuki's date. That's what we were interrupting, and we're at Suzuha right now. Suzuha was overwhelmed by her energy.
I don't know anything about that. Is that how it works, brother?
But even when she turned to Itaru for help, he just awkwardly sat there eating his curry like a robot.
Brother?
He awkwardly turned his head to face her. The rest of him stayed completely still. Did you say something?
What's wrong? You're acting weird.
I'm not acting weird. I'm not acting weird at all. Suzuha glanced back at Yuki. And for the first time, Yuki looked concerned. In the end, Yuki and Suzuha did have their curry eating contest, and surprisingly, both of them completely finished their meals. Suzuha won by a very small margin, but the battle was exciting, enough that not only did the other customers, but the staff as well were applauding at the end. The whole time, Itaru kept eating by himself. Since this wasn't even a conversation, let alone a date, she sent Itaru home alone. Part of her wanted to demand Itaru explain himself right now, but she decided to talk to Yuki instead. She tried her best to avoid Yuki so far in order to keep her identity a secret, but it was July now. She would be gone from this era very soon. This might be her last chance to talk to Yuki at all.
Yeah. I'm so glad you were there.
Yuki sighed a little after Itaru left.
Maybe I did something to offend him. Hashida doesn't seem to enjoy being around me. You don't think he was just nervous? But he was having fun talking with me before the movie, you know? But after the movie, he started acting really strange.
After the movie?
Did I do something wrong? I asked him to take me to the curry place, but since he was acting like that the whole time, I wasn't really sure what to do. And so, since you happened to be there, I turned to you for help.
Huh. What happened inside the theater? Yeah. Suzuha hadn't followed them inside. She spent about 2 hours killing time outside.
Hey. Why do you like my brother? Huh? Huh? I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this, but he's not exactly a lady killer. What do you think about your brother? Me? Do you like him? Hate him? You like him, right? I can tell by watching you. Well, sure.
There were parts of him that she didn't like, but of course she loved her dad.
Wait, why are we talking about me? So, what about you? I still don't really know if I like him or not. I see.
Not only had Itaru not told Yuki he liked her, this was still their first date, and they hadn't spoken that much before either. She hadn't even reached the point where she saw him as a member of the opposite sex. For almost a year, Suzuha had stayed with him, and she, Mayuri, and Ferris had done everything they could to get the two of them together. But there hadn't been any real progress. Suzuha felt uneasy when she thought about the future. I mean, again, I don't know exactly how it would work, but if they really weren't going to get together, then once something happened to Suzuha, maybe your dad wouldn't be her dad anymore. Maybe her mom wouldn't be her mom anymore. Dad and mom wouldn't be together. She imagined that future. I don't want that. She looks straight into Yuki's eyes. I'm going to be leaving soon. Huh? What? I'm moving someplace far away. Really? I don't think I'll be back. And I'm worried about I mean my brother. So, Yuki, I know this is a weird thing for me to ask. And then she bowed deeply. Please take care of Itaro Hishida. There was no answer from Yuki. Suzuha looked up, afraid, and tried to gauge the expression on her face. She looked kind of lonely. And kind of sad. I don't know what I want to do. Yuki whispered, and then Suzuha. Oh, jeez, what are we going to do? Everything's almost finished, even though it's never even started. As soon as she got back to the lab, she yelled at her useless father. Suzuha, I'm sorry! Your family is doomed! Stop sitting there feeling sorry for yourself. This isn't funny. Start by explaining why you were acting that way today. You looked so excited when you left this morning, and Mom said you were normal until halfway through the movie. Yeah. So what the hell happened? Well, you see, listen to this. You know the movie theater seats are cramped, right? So I tried to sit as far as the edges as I could so I won't get in Amanishi's way. And I heard this crack in the seat almost broke.
What?
And then I tried to support myself so I grabbed the armrest. But it wasn't the armrests. It was Amanishi's hand.
Yeah? Mom didn't say anything about that.
I'm telling the truth. It was so soft it could have been an armrest. It was a girl's hand. Could have been.
I see.
But you see, it fell on two e-girls' hands, but never real girls.
And what happened then?
Amanishi's so nice. I guess she didn't try to shake it off because she didn't want to hurt me. You know how fat I am, right? I sweat a lot. She must have got soaked, but she didn't say a word. And so I really started to think about that.
Oh, I see. That's why you're acting so weird.
I'm sure in her mind, she was going, "Get off me, you creepy loser pervert."
Mom's not like that.
Sarcasm. In fact, from the way she was acting, she probably thought she'd upset him somehow. The problem was what she'd said.
I don't know what I want to do.
What does she mean by that? Yeah, what does that mean? Is that something to worry about? It probably is, considering this is the bad ending.
I don't know what Mom's thinking.
Suzuha, let's give up on Mom and you can live with me.
You're not making any sense. How am I even supposed to be born?
That's what I'm saying. But it's impossible.
How come you're not even trying? Even if things look bad, you have to keep going.
She grabbed her father by the collar and shook him.
If you don't...
She remembered how sad Yuki had looked when they'd said goodbye.
Otherwise, something awful will happen.
Yeah. I feel out of it for some reason. Zu was starting to wonder about leaving, especially now that she had even more to worry about. Maybe I shouldn't have talked to Yuki after all. She realized again how powerless she was, being from the future. And back to Okabe. Oh, great. I do not want to see the freaking... I do not want to see Leskinen anymore. I do not trust him. I don't even trust Maho. Because Maho's probably brainwashed in this ending. The Global Brain Science Comprehensive Research Organization Japanese Off-Prep Room in Wako City hadn't changed a bit in 6 months. That's a annoying name to say. It was still far from being what it needed to be, and still almost completely empty. There were rows and rows of empty desks. The amount of dust on the tables had perhaps increased. After Dr. Leskinen had left, it had probably remained unused. Sorry to call you out here like this, Lintalo. Oh, it's fine. Dr. Leskinen had told me he wanted to update the Amadeus app to the latest version, so I'd come to his office after class. Don't let him update it. That's a bad idea. Ma had connected my phone to her PC to begin the process. This is bad. He said it would only take 10 minutes, so I was sitting around and waiting. By the way, Lintalo, I know we discussed this before, but would you seriously consider being an exchange student? Huh? If it doesn't bother you, I'd be willing to write a recommendation letter. Of course, you need to pass the test in the interviews. Frantically straightening my posture. That's a very tempting offer, but I don't think I've got the academic talent for it yet. My goal is to go to Victor Condria, so I really don't want to screw it up. And so I was planning on really buckling down and studying for at least another year. Dr. Leskinen pursed his lips as I tried to stammer out an explanation. But soon... Okay. He patted me on the shoulder and smiled. I know you are a very thoughtful young man. Really? No one's ever told me that before. Saying it was one thing, but maybe I was just a coward. There were times when you needed the courage to move forward without being afraid of failure. Was now one of those times? So, you'll try for it next year, huh? Yes, maybe. Had I missed my chance? Would Dr. Leskinen wait until next year? I started to get nervous. It's not good to obsess over things too much. I think even coming to visit would help your visit motivation. Visit? Oh, he's trying to get me over there, isn't he? If the timing works out for you, we'd be willing to pay to have you visit. How about it? He's definitely trying to get us to go there. I can't believe you do that for me. Thank you. Of course. I don't know when I'll be heading back to America next, so I can't say exactly as to when it'll be. Right. I bowed my head in gratitude. Meeting Dr. Leskinen was a really lucky break for me. Oh no. I don't trust you. You're brainwashed, aren't you? By chance, my eyes met Maho's. For some reason, her smile was a little sad. She quickly looked away and went back to work. Yep, she knows the truth. Where am I? Ma was staying in a business hotel a few stops down from Wako City. She said she deliberately avoided staying in the same hotel as last time. It's not quite as convenient, though. You know what? Why not clean up a little? She hadn't spent that much time in Japan, and it was already messy. Clean up? I've got everything laid out in the most efficient manner for my use. Which meant she was refusing the hotel's cleaning service. You know that's why you're never getting a boyfriend, right? Thank you, Karisu. I could hear Karisu from my phone. She was annoyed. After the app updated, I'd left Amadeus running. Nobody asked you! Any normal person would be embarrassed to invite someone over to a room like this. Well, cleaning wasn't a specialty of mine either. It wouldn't be right to give her too much of a hard time. So, why'd you want to talk about? Oh god, she wanted to talk? Why? I come to Maho's hotel because she wanted to talk to me about something. I wouldn't have minded talking about it in the office, but she insisted on speaking alone in her hotel room. So maybe you're not brainwashed, but you know the truth, and you're being threatened. I knew she didn't mean anything by it. After knowing her for half a year, I knew she wasn't the type. Oh god, I'm scared. I know this is the bad end. So why? 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 Maybe you are brainwashed. Maybe you're gonna try and kill me right here. Mao looked like she was having trouble finding the words she wanted to say.
You still haven't told me the truth about what happened to Kurisu.
Should we be saying this with Amadeus open? I quickly shut down the Amadeus app. Yeah, I was about to say, we need to turn this thing off.
And I want to ask you about the time machine, too.
The time machine?
You're the one who said that Kurisu was involved in Dr. Nakabachi's paper. Was she really working on a time machine?
How should I answer that? Last time, she'd been trying to decrypt Kurisu's laptop. Thankfully, we've destroyed this. But even then, I don't think this is going to stop the future from changing. Or I don't think this is going to change the future, I should say. I was willing to tell her what I'd experienced in order to get her to stop. In the end, I'd lost a chance, though. But things were different now. Kurisu's laptop was gone. There's no reason to bring it up anymore. So what's up? But then Maho said something I didn't expect.
Actually, I've been researching a time machine for the last 6 months, along with my normal research.
What?
I thought that if Kurisu could do it, so could I. It's just a silly rivalry. Maybe I'm just being stubborn. But, you know, if I could just make a time machine, I told myself maybe I could save Kurisu.
Don't! This was awful. Why bring it up now? I was still haunted by Kurisu's death just as much as I was. Don't get any stupid ideas.
Okabe.
Don't try to save Kurisu Makise. It's impossible. The laws of God won't allow it.
Then I was right. I was right. You know something, don't you?
Mao got closer to me.
Did she really do it? Did Kurisu really make a time machine? You used it to become humanity's first time traveler, didn't you? I know you did.
Do you have any proof of that? I pretend to remain calm. Mao seemed shocked at her own words.
I'm sorry. I'm being weird. I can't believe I said something so delusional.
Oh, it's okay. Hey, Hyojo? Mao started to cry. I didn't know what to do when she started crying right in front of me.
It's gone into me. I didn't mean to cry.
She used her fingers to wipe away the tears. It's okay. If you want to cry, you can cry. It hurts to keep that stuff bottled in. She seemed pretty unstable. It's okay. I could sense a lot more fragility in her than I'd seen before. She looked like she'd been psychologically pushed to the limit. It's okay. It's okay. All the things she'd experienced must have taken a toll on her. When we were talking on video chat, I hadn't seen any signs of that at all. Should I tell her? If she was researching a time machine, that was a bad sign. She might start looking into things and open doors that should remain closed. If that was the case, I should tell her what I experienced and then have her give up, just like I did. I don't want her getting attacked by CERN. Fine. I'll tell you what I experienced. Promise me you will not tell anyone. And I'll say this one more time. Don't get any ideas about saving Kurisu Makise. Got it? She nodded as she wiped away the tears. I told her. About the events in the Alpha World line. About the time machine. About reading Steiner. About the method of sending memories back through time that I called a time leap. About how Kurisu had developed a time leap machine that made this possible. About Suzuha Amane, the time traveler from the year 2036. About the future Suzuha that had told us about the Third World War. And about how the race to develop a time machine would set off that war. I told her all these things, as matter-of-factly as I could. As for how Kurisu died, I couldn't tell her that. When I told her everything, she fell silent for a bit. Yeah. She took a deep breath, frowned, and rubbed her temples. My head hurts. Yeah. Welcome to the club. You don't need to believe it at all. You can think I'm crazy if you want. It doesn't bother me. But if you insist on continuing to research a time machine and save Kurisu Makise, I'll do whatever I have to in order to stop you. So give up on any ideas you've got. Stop pushing yourself so hard. I was about to say more, but Mal put her hand up to stop me.
So let me get all this straight in my head a little more. This reading Steiner you told me about, it's not the new encephalitis? The symptoms match what Dr. Leskinen had told me about.
That's true. It might be. I still don't know whether I should tell him or not. It may just confuse him for no good reason. What do you think?
Don't ask me, please.
I was still massaging her temples with her fingers. That's true. Sorry.
Did you really destroy Kreese's laptop?
Yes, I did.
Did you see what was on it?
I didn't know how to crack the password. There's no way I could. Even Daru said he couldn't do it. There was no way I could do it on my own.
Did you read the original paper on the time machine that Kreese wrote?
No. Mao kept asking me questions. She seemed to be in some kind of strange hurry.
You know how Kreese made her time machine?
No. Basic ideas.
Could you recreate it?
I'm not sure. Bad Gal Beach, thank you for the follow. Hope you enjoy the streams. I don't know. Maybe with Daru's help.
So you could, right?
It would be difficult to do on my own. Why are you asking? Didn't we just tell you not to do it?
What about me?
Don't even think about it. This is a terrible situation. Mao suddenly grimaced as if she was in pain. I realized how pale she was. I mean, we just let loose a lot of information on her. We basically just told her the entire story of the first game, omitting some details, important ones, especially how Kurisu died. Given the fact, I can't blame Okabe for not telling that, because it's like, oh yeah, the reason your friend is dead is because of me, apparently. I don't want to know how Maho would react to that, so I can't say I blame Okabe for not saying that. That's the one thing I can agree with Okabe on, just not saying to Maho. We can just omit that detail. I don't want to know how she'd react. Hyajo, are you okay? Does she really have a headache or something? You want to lie down? But she shook her head and kept asking questions.
Where's the time machine now? The one that Suzuha used. Where is it?
Okay, I still don't know if I can trust Maho. The thing is, Dr. Leskinen did something. Now, I don't know what exactly he did, though. He's got some sort of influence on Maho. I don't know if, like, did he use Amadius to do something to her memories? Change her personality? Or threaten her? But she's becoming so obsessed on getting to a time machine of any kind at this point. So, what did Leskinen do? Why is she so obsessed with this? I mean, she was obsessed with it before, don't get me wrong, but this feels even... I don't know. It feels even worse somehow right now. Or maybe we just never saw how bad it got for her in the time span that was skipped. Where? I wasn't sure if I should say without Suzu's permission. Akihabara. Mao looked so desperate that I found myself answering her question. I feel like that was a bad idea. It's still there, on top of the radio building. We should not have said that. I see. Her shoulders slumped and her head drooped. I was worried that she might ask to see it for herself, but maybe she really was sick. Are you really okay? I put my hand on her shoulder and looked at her face. You should rest for today. Ah! Knew it was a bad idea! There was no warning at all. I knew it was a bad idea! Gosh dang it! Miles' tiny body slammed into me. She's gonna do... Oh no. If she goes back into the past, she's not gonna... Oh god, what's she gonna... She's gonna do something that can't be fixed. The force was enough to push me back to the wall. If she gets into that time machine, it's gonna do something... Oh dear. I know that I'm in the bad ending, but that doesn't mean I want to see it. I asked for this, and I still don't want to see it. Why did I choose this? No. What are you... Before I knew what was happening, her arm was against my throat. She was using the bone in her arm to put pressure on my windpipe. I couldn't breathe or speak. I twisted my body and tried to resist, still clueless as to what was going on. Then she used her other hand to grab my head and slam into the back of the wall. Her strength was incredible. I was a lot bigger than she was, but I still couldn't escape her grasp. I'm sorry, Okabe. Her voice was very dark and very cold. And suddenly she moaned again, and her face twisted in pain. My head feels like it's about to explode. They used Amadeus on her. They did something to her. She was crying again. Why? Why did you tell me? You shouldn't have said anything. I couldn't escape. I grabbed onto her long hair and tried to pull her away, but she didn't move at all, as if she felt no pain. My phone had been vibrating in my pocket for a while now. I desperately grabbed for it. I pressed the button without even looking at the screen. Please answer, Kurisu. Okabe? Kurisu! I was blacking out. Was I going to die here? Without even knowing why Maho was trying to kill me? But... the whole time she was strangling me, Maho looked like she was in so much pain. And wait, was she still crying? Before I could figure it out if her tears were real or an act, I passed out. When I woke up, my throat hurt. I tried to cover my mouth with my hands, but something was keeping them from moving. I opened my eyes and saw that I was sitting in some kind of chair with my head facing downwards. I slowly raised my head. My hands were tied to the armrest with zip ties. Oh, finally the game's no longer going to hold back on the depression. It's now going to show me the full force of the full consequences of my actions, of choosing to do the bad ending first. My only thing to cling to sanity with is the knowledge that surely things can't get worse than here, right? Once we get to the other endings, I mean. Surely the other endings will be better in some fashion. I tried to break out. The ties dug into my skin and hurt very badly. I tried looking around. It was a room I'd never seen before. There were machines that looked like they belonged in the operating room of a hospital. But the wall was also lined with monitors, like some kind of guard room or control room. I couldn't see any windows, so I had no idea where I was. Someone. My throat hurt when I tried to talk. And then I remembered that Maho had almost killed me. Why had she done that? I felt more confused than angry. You.
Rintaro.
Hello, Rintaro. You awake? I heard footsteps and saw a wavering shadow beneath the dim fluorescent lights in front of me. I knew that voice. What? Dr. Leskinen. How do you feel? If you're thirsty, I can get you some water. When I looked again, I saw that he wasn't alone. There were several men behind him in black suits. They were looking at me without saying a word. All of them were holding guns. They looked like MIBs and reminded me of the foreigners I'd almost ran into at Daru's shop 6 months ago. Or was it the same group? What's going on here? There were a lot of things I wanted to ask, but more than anything, I wanted to know why Dr. Leskinen wasn't helping me. Of course, the first thing that came to mind was the obvious answer. It was Dr. Leskinen who had put me here, and Maho had captured me under his orders. But I didn't want to think about that. Where are we? So all I could ask was a stupid question like that. I was right. You truly are a treasure trove of information. Right now, you're as valuable as the President of the United States. He didn't answer me. He showed a self-satisfied smile. I could feel alarm bells going off in my head. I was getting more suspicious of Dr. Leskinen. Am I imprisoned here? It would be more accurate to say you're under our protection. Once your value becomes clear, there will be a lot of people coming after you. Did you order this, Dr. Leskinen? That's right. I made the decision. After hearing about your information from Maho. Where's Hyajo? Resting in a hotel room, I'd imagine. Did you hear Ajo become my friend in order to extract information from me? That wasn't her original intent. In the end, that's how it ended up, though. And you too? Were you nice to me because you were after something? Just who are you? Now, please calm down. I've told you before, haven't I? A scientist must remain calm at all times. Excitement is only allowed when the experiment is a success. Instead of feeling calm, Dr. Leskinen's attitude was pissing me off. I felt betrayed. There was rage, frustration, sorrow, and a lot of other feelings all mixed together as I gritted my teeth. Dr. Leskinen ignored me and gave a brief order in English to the other men. They left the room. Only Dr. Leskinen and I remained. Now then, Rintaro, I'll tell you about my other job. Your other job? It was then that I remembered the otherworld line that I'd been sent to. Are you Shimoyama had told me that an American organization had demanded that I be turned over. Is it you? Are you with the CIA? The NSC? Dr. Leskinen only chuckled. Don't compare me to those idiots. They're just a bunch of useless government employees. Are you aware of an American civilian intelligence company called Strategic Focus? Strategic Focus? I'd heard of them before on a conspiracy theory site that the old me used to read all the time. Stratfor? Fictional. Official name is the Strategic Focus, an American civilian intelligence company sometimes called the Shadow CIA. It has its own independent intelligence network that it uses to gather and analyze security information from around the globe. And many famous companies and military organizations sit on its board of advisors. They are a for-profit company with the completely different ideals and policies from groups like Anonymous, who crack classified information, or WikiLeaks, which publishes public interest information from whistleblowers. There's a real information brokerage company named Strategic Forecasting Incorporated, based out in Texas. This company bears no relationship whatsoever with Strategic Focus. One of them items on Gogo Curry. Online nickname. I remembered reading that they'd acquired top secret information on Russian ballistic missiles that even the CIA couldn't get, and then sold it. The result was the destruction of the CIA's reputation. And at the same time, the total reorganization of Russia's military strategy. I'd even heard rumors that during the Gulf and Iraq wars, they'd obtain information about the warring countries faster than anyone, and spread it as needed. The world's government supposedly called them the Shadow CIA. You work for Stratfor. But I thought you were the chief researcher at the Brain Science Institute. That's my real job, of course. By the way, I often run into people who tell me the exact same things. They tell me that humans are just monkeys that murder for each other, the human brain and the development of the neocortex and what give rise to crazy religions and crazy ambitions. That's why there are wars. But every time I hear that, I think to myself, that's stupid. It's nonsense. Who would believe something so silly? So why do humans fight all these useless wars then? Do you know, Lintalo? It's because of information. All human beings are part of a certain community, a certain colony, if you will. Each individual thinks he's acting on his own, but in fact, all our brains are connected by the information distributed by our community. And thus, we are forced to live as members of a herd, whether we like it or not. Let me give you an example. Well, as examples go, it's not the best, but... The worst massacre in history, which was carried out by a certain European country, did not take place during the dark ages of the witch trials. It was halfway through the 20th century, in a time when the atomic bomb already existed. And the country that carried it out was one of the most civilized on Earth. We'll leave the question of their leader's sanity to the historians, but... what about the people who were actually on the ground doing the killing? Were they simply murderous monkeys? No. They were people, like any others you might find. Speaking as a brain scientist, I'm certain that if I were to examine one of their brains, I'd find nothing wrong with them at all. But once they received the wrong information, their brains became capable of murder without remorse. The wrong information. This is our job. We are in the right, and anyone who does not obey is evil. That information. What are you trying to say? There needs to be someone who can control the information given to these fragile things we call brains. And that is the ultimate goal of strategic focus. As I am in complete agreement with that goal, I work as an agent for them in addition to being a brain scientist. Do you understand? Don't. That's just some kind of monologue a villain gives in the movies. In the end, all you're doing is selling information for money. You said I'm a treasure trove of information, right? Who are you going to sell information on the time machine to? America? China? Or the war zone in Africa and the Middle East? All of them. Huh? Luskin shrugged his shoulders and quietly laughed. It's just like nuclear weapons. Every nation needs them to act as a restraint against the others. Time machines aren't like nuclear weapons. No one even realizes that if they've been used, the whole world might change without even the person who used it knowing. There's no way to restrain their use. The world will just keep changing and changing with no one knowing which country altered the world line or how. That's right. A time machine is a far more delicate thing than a nuclear weapon. That's why we need your power. All of you people, I should say. You called it reading Steins, as I recall. It seems to have the same symptoms as the new encephalitis. That's right. Luskin was researching the new encephalitis too. We'd reached the point where we'd realized that the patients may be capable of detecting changes to the past. But we wanted proof. So does every intelligence agency in the so does every intelligence agency in the world. They're desperately searching. I hate myself for not realizing the possibility sooner. I always had the wrong idea. I thought that the reason the new encephalitis patients were being brought together was just to give them meaningless treatment. But I was naive. Too naive. Leskinen and Stratfor's goal was to gather people with reading Steiner and study them. Maho just told me all about your amazing abilities. I had originally just hoped to get information about Kurisu's successes. But instead, you even got information on the new encephalitis. You are wonderful! This puts us a step ahead of the rest of the world. And why didn't you tell me about this sooner? If you had, I wouldn't have had to do so many things to your friend Katsumi's brain. What'd you do? What? Katsumi Nakase. Do you mean Fubuki? What'd you do? And I wouldn't have had to use the procedure on Maho's brain either. Even Hyajo! Is that why she was acting so weird? She's your assistant, right? She respected you! She looked up to you! How could you use her in a human experiment? It was necessary to acquire information that will benefit all humanity. And there's no need to panic. Both Maho and Katsumi will survive with only minor impairments to their brain functionality. You're insane! For the first time, I felt a hatred for and fear of the man in front of me. I couldn't believe that this was the same man I respected so much. If we investigate the brains of patients who've contracted reading Steiner, I'm sure we'll learn more. If we can sell that in set alongside with the time machines, we can maintain the military balance of power across the world. We can avoid war. You idiot! That's not what's gonna happen! I want your cooperation too. Leskinen's mannerisms hadn't changed a bit, even as he spoke all these horrifying things. He spoke of these insane things in the same manner that Maho once described as a mischievous child. You tricked me, didn't you? You approached me just because I was friends with Kurisu. You tried to get information about Kurisu from me. I don't think I ever tricked you. It was a coincidence that we first met. It's true that a major reason I asked you to test Amadeus was your relationship with Kurisu. But it's also true that as I got to know you, I really did take an interest in you. I still wish you could be my assistant. But that's a separate matter. Remember what I said? You're as valuable as the President of the United States himself right now. I need to prioritize the company's work over my private feelings for the sake of humanity's future peace. I'm sorry, Lentalo, but at the same time, I'm excited. I can't wait to see all the information you possess. Go to hell. I'm going to take a copy of your memory data. Your memories are going to be used in the Amadeus system. Interesting idea, right? That way, even if you die in an unfortunate accident, your memories will remain. Oh, don't worry. I'm not interested in killing you. Humans have far weaker security than Amadeus. Once they taste pain, they'll gladly share information to escape it. Their security when it comes to keeping secrets is practically non-existent. Torture doesn't work on Amadeus, which means it will be far more difficult to deal with than you. The only reason I'm taking the memory data is to have a backup. Even if, for example, you are unable to endure the torture and went insane, in the near future, you'll be able to download your memories. We will be able to download your memories back into your brain. You attended my lectures, so you know this, right? This is... I have the power of closing the gate now. We'll start by getting that memory data. And then you're going to tell me all kinds of things. We're going to be busy. Now relax. Otherwise, I can't extract a drought correctly. Listen, you... Don't make that face. No one is coming to help you. This place is under Strap Force control. No one knows about it but us. No one. I was too stunned to think. There was nowhere to run. My knees shook in terror as I imagined what was about to happen to me. Maybe it would have been better to die. And then I felt sick as I remembered that I was fated not to die until 2025. If no amount of torture could kill me, this was literally hell. Oh god. Her head hurt. Maho knelt down, closed her eyes and bit her lips to shut out the pain. There was an annoying noise in her head that wouldn't go away. It made the headache worse. No matter how much she covered her ears, she couldn't block it out. She wanted to scream from the pain, but she held it in because she thought it would only make her headache worse. She could hear a voice mixed in with the noise. It was Dr. Leskinen's. Listen, Mao. You need to find out what Okabe Rintaro's secret is, no matter what it takes. If you can't, I'll have to kill him. You don't want that, right? You seem to really like Rintaro, didn't you? Me and Kurisu kept bringing it up, after all. Even if you weren't interested in him originally, you couldn't help but think about him. That's how the human mind works. And to save him, I want you to find out what he knows. If you do that, I'm willing to bring him to my lab, unconditionally. Maho, tell me everything you learned from him. You could say his future is in your hands. The voice and the noise were extremely unpleasant. Ugh. She couldn't really understand what the voice was saying. She could hear him speaking, but her brain refused to understand the meaning of the words. It didn't matter either way. Ma had done something terrible to Okabe Rintaro. She'd sold him out to Dr. Leskinen in Stratfor. And the fact that she knew it just made her guilt worse. She wanted to disappear from the world altogether.
Maho-san?
Maho?
It's Mayuri. She was on a busy street in Akihabara in the early summer. She was leaning on the side of a building in the shade when she heard someone call her name.
I knew it was you, Maho.
Mayuri.
Mayuri?
She didn't expect to see Mayuri here, so she didn't know how to respond. She just looked back and stared.
Are you not feeling well?
I'm fine.
Have you seen Ocarine?
Huh? Maho went completely still. Mayuri's innocent question reminded her of her own stupidity and cowardice. Why? Her voice was shaking.
I haven't been able to get a hold of Ocarine since yesterday. He hasn't gone home, and he hasn't picked up the phone, and he's not answering text messages or Rhine. Nara says I'm worrying too much, but something doesn't feel right. So I left school early today and now I'm searching around for here.
It was still only July, but it was pretty hot. She'd been wandering around all of Akihabara in this heat. Mayuri Shino was a kind, pure-hearted girl. That was the impression that Maho had. She would never betray someone or get jealous or let someone use her. You wanna know?
Huh?
Mayuri leaned forward.
Mo, do you know where Ocarine is? If you know, please tell me. Please.
She bowed deeply. I see. And then she realized. And then she wished she hadn't. Mayuri was in love with Rintaro Okabe. A dull pain ran down her temples.
You seemed to really like Rintaro, didn't you?
She could hear the noise in her head. Just tell Mayuri everything. And then have this innocent girl tell you how horrible you are. Maybe you'll feel better then. The idea raced through Mao's mind. Even as she knew it was wrong, she tried to hold back her headache as she opened her mouth.
I was with Okabe late last night. Were you? Where is he now?
Mao ignored her question.
This is what he told me last night.
No.
He told me about another world where he experienced. Where you, Mayuri Shina, had died again and again.
Don't tell her.
No matter what you did, he couldn't save you.
You can't tell her this. Escape that nightmare sloop.
Save you.
It was like another person was speaking using Maho's mouth.
Okabe sacrificed Kurisu. He let her die. That's what he told me. If he makes a time machine and tries to save Kurisu again, he'll go back to all of that.
You're hurting her. The words didn't stop.
Okabe is so afraid of that. He's doing everything he can to protect you. This is the world he chose. After sacrificing many things to protect you. I'm sure he didn't tell you any of that, though. That's not true. No. Karine.
Mayuri was too shocked to speak. She looked like she was about to cry at any instant. Suddenly, Mayuri turned around and started to walk away, with slumped shoulders. Even from behind her, Mao could tell she was having trouble walking straight. The truth was so cruel that confronting it threatened her very identity. That's how it seemed to Maho. Mao was still in a trance. It felt like there was a fog covering everything she saw. It was all out of focus. Like a mirage. If someone told her it was a dream, she would easily believe it. The same was true of her own mind. She knew she should feel worse about what she just told Mayuri. But while she realized she'd hurt her, she felt no emotion. That's probably why she was able to say something so awful. And then the phone in her pocket began to vibrate. She looked and saw it was from Amadeus, from Kurisu. She felt a small, thin needle prick her paralyzed heart. She couldn't answer it. How could she? She stared at the LCD screen, unable to move her fingers even a centimeter.
How could I answer it?
She couldn't let Kurisu see her like this. Even so, it felt wrong to just stay here. Mao decided to go after Mayuri. But by the time she made it to the overpass, Mayuri was already gone. Since she was right in front of the station, there were many people around, and it would have been impossible to find her.
Why'd you come up to me? If you hadn't talked to me, you wouldn't have had to suffer. I'm not who I used to be.
She looked down over the station from the overpass and whispered to herself. And then she saw someone in a distinctive outfit approaching her. They were wearing a black motorcycle suit and black full-face helmet despite the heat. It's Kagari. She thought it might have been a cosplayer. Instead of trying to take pictures, the people nearby were avoiding them. Given a closer look, the person appeared to be a woman. Even Maho could tell that she had incredible proportions. The woman walked under the overpass and vanished from Maho's view. And then she came up the stairs. And she came right towards Maho. Maho quickly looked away, like the other pedestrians, and tried to run away. Before she could, the woman in the motorcycle suit ran over and wordlessly grabbed her hand. There was a pain in her cheek. She was caught off guard and staggered to the ground. At first, she didn't know what had happened. She rubbed her aching cheeks, and only then did she realize that the woman in the motorcycle suit had slapped her.
You hurt Mommy, didn't you?
She could hear a muffled female voice from within the helmet.
I'll kill you.
The voice was very calm, which only terrified Maho more.
The professor told me about you. That doesn't matter. Who are you?
Because she was wearing a helmet, Maho couldn't read her facial expression. Since the fire was lowered, she couldn't even see her eyes. There was no answer to her question. Instead, the woman looked up to the sky, as if she noticed something. Maho looked up too. Uh-oh. For a moment, it seemed as if a black shadow crossed the windows of the building. She could hear a helicopter. It was close. How long had it been there? She hadn't noticed it at all. And then she felt the air around her change. Pedestrians were all looking towards the station in fear and shock. She could hear people saying things like, "What's that? Are they filming a TV show? Some kind of cosplay event?" Something was going on at the station. Mal stood up and looked too.
What is that?
She found herself whispering the same thing as the others. There were two trucks painted a deep military green parked outside the station. Men were coming out of them, dressed in camo and carrying weapons. At first, she thought it might have been in the self-defense force. The men weren't Japanese. It was hard to believe that what she was seeing was taking place in Japan. The men in camo disappeared into the alleyways as everyone watched from a safe distance. They were heading toward the radio building. Maul had heard from Rentaro yesterday that the time machine was there.
Was that Stratfor?
Or Russia? Or perhaps another country's military? Were they here because Ma had told Leskinen that what she'd learned from Rentaro? As soon as the thought crossed her mind, she was hit with another terrible headache. It was all her fault. Everything was her fault. Until a moment ago, everything had seemed so hazy. But now she felt crushed by overwhelming guilt. If Okabe was right, and the Third World War was going to begin here in Akihabara, it would be because she gave the information he shared with her to Stratfor. She suddenly realized that the girl who threatened to kill her had run down the stairs towards the station. Oh, never did figure out who she was. And then her phone started to vibrate again. It was from Kurisu. She wanted to get away from the guilt. And so this time she picked up the phone.
Senpai!
Mao!
Kurisu.
Are you okay? What do you mean? What happened to you? Nothing. But you're crying. Only then did she realize that her eyes were overflowing with tears. The fog over her mind was now totally gone, and all that was left was the guilt, the regret, regret, and the headaches. My head hurts. You could say his future is in your hands. She heard the noise again. Where's Okabe? What happened to him? Who cares about Okabe? You tried to kill him. I saw it. Leave me alone. I can't do that. Just leave me alone. Couldn't beat you. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't be better than you.
You know, Kriso, I respect you. You're younger than me. I think you're an incredible scientist. The bottom of my heart, this is what I used to think. Why did you have to show up? Why didn't you come 10 years before? Why didn't you come 10 years later? If it weren't for you, I would have had a more peaceful life. And these awful feelings wouldn't take control of me. Everything I thought I knew, you destroyed. And even though you're dead, you're still with me. I want to just be sorry that you're gone, but I can't. You're still this wall that I can't overcome. My pride and stubbornness get in the way. And the man I trust the most took advantage of that to betray me. And I betrayed a friend who trusted me. I can't even think straight anymore. So leave me alone. Maho. She was getting far too emotional. Normally she'd never behave like this. But she couldn't stop herself. War. Sounds of war. She heard an explosion in the distance. The people around her started to scream, panic, and run. The flames from the explosions were coming from the direction the men in the camo had gone. Did they do it? The helicopter sounds were getting louder. Glimpses of their dark, agile bodies had flashed in and out of Maho's vision for a little while now. Then she started to hear loud gunfire. It was more than one or two people shooting. There was a battle going on between many people, taking place here in front of Akihabara Station. It was like the beginning of a war. If what Wintaro said was true, Suzuha Mane might be near the time machine, and she might be caught up in the battle. She wondered about the woman in the motorcycle suit, too. She started to stagger forward. She still didn't know what she was planning, but she needed to take responsibility for what she'd done. The elevators in the radio building were broken. Mo had no choice but to take the stairs to the roof. But maybe the power had been cut, because the lights were off on every floor. She could hear the sporadic sounds of gunfires from the floors above. Strangely, nobody came running past her to escape. There were several shops in the building, and of course there should have been customers there, despite the fact that the elevators weren't working. Were they all evacuated earlier? Or were they all hiding somewhere and waiting for the terror to end? That was what she thought about as she sweated her way up the stairs. Just before she reached the roof, she saw someone for the first time. You. Mommy. Mommies. She was sitting on the stairs, cradling her knees. For some reason, her voice was muffled. But it did seem to be a woman's voice. Her head seemed big and round in the darkness. It was a moment before she realized it was a full-face helmet. That's when she realized it was the woman in the motorcycle suit from before. Mommy. Where are you, Mommy? She seemed like a totally different person than the woman she'd met before. All she did was sob and cry for her mother. Hey, what's going on? Mommy, where are you? Mommy, tell me! She shouted louder, and only then did the woman realize she was there. But she didn't even stand up. Mommy's gone. The time machine was destroyed. It's over. It's over then. The time machine was destroyed. Who's your mommy? Is it Suzuha Mane? No. It's Mommy Mayuri, of course.
Maho's blood ran cold when she heard the name Mayuri.
さんが
Mayuri's
ここに
here? If that was true, she would have come here after she learned the truth from Maho.
私の
It's my fault.
せいだ
Maho put her hands to her head.
私が
If I hadn't said that,
あんなことを言わな
Mayuri
きゃ
wouldn't have...
まゆりさんは
The woman in the motorcycle suit stood up and approached her menacingly. That's right. You got all the information out from Taro Okabe. And that's what began all of this. Give me back my mommy! The girl grabbed her by the collar and lifted her off the ground. There wasn't anything she could say. Mommy? When she didn't answer, the woman let go and fell to the ground, crying. Things would be so much easier if she just killed me here. Her mind was in such chaos that she couldn't stop herself from thinking it. She couldn't stay calm at all. And the last thing she clung to was...
Chris
Kurisu.
先
Maho. The AI made from Kurisu Makise's memory data. Maybe she was still thinking about their last discussion because she seemed upset. She wasn't saying anything. So Maho gave up the last of her pride.
クリス
What do I do?
どうしたらいいいろいろなことが起
Too
こり
much
すぎ
has
て
happened.
私
And
一
there's
人
nothing
じ
I
ゃ
can do on my own anymore.
自分のしてしまったこ
At
となんだ
least
から
I want to take responsibility for what I've done.
取りたいの
And then she realized that she was still being proud. And corrected herself.
私は
She asked herself, what do I want to do?
私は
I want to save Okabe.
岡部さんを
I want to save Mayuri. I want to apologize to both of them
助けたい
so they'll forgive me.
それと
And Kurisu,
あなたのことも
I want to save you
助けたい
too.
のだから
So help me,
力を貸して
please.
先輩が
You're asking me for help?
私に条件
Kurisu's eyes were wide. That's right. Her pride had kept her from ever asking Kurisu for help before. And it was the same with Kurisu too. And knowing Kurisu's personality, if Mao had asked for help, she'd use every bit of her brain power she had to give it.
ねえ
Come on,
教えてちょう
tell
だい
me.
あなたなら
You can give me some
解決
solution,
策を
right?
提示できるでしょ
That's why they said Kurisu Makise was a genius. She was a woman who made the impossible possible. Mao waited for Kurisu's answer. The last hope. The last thing left in Pandora's box. She waited for Kurisu to give her the answer. But
無理ですよ
it's impossible. Mao was struck dumb for a moment. Then she realized how selfish she was being, and hated herself for it. She expected too much of Kurisu, and tried to put all the burden on her. And just a few moments ago, she'd been the one who rejected Kurisu.
そう
Yeah,
よね
you're right.
その答え
Of
は
course that's what you'd say.
ごめん
I'm sorry.
ごめんねク
I'm
リス
sorry, Kurisu.
私
It was so horrible to
あ
you.
なたにあなたが無
And
条
then I
件で協
stupidly
力してく
thought
れ
you'd
ると
help me
勝手に
unconditionally.
思い込んで無条件には
I'll help you
協力します
unconditionally. What?
今
What did you just say?
先輩に
I
頼ま
can't
れたら
turn down a request for help from you.
できませんよ岡部や
And I want to
椎
save
名
Okabe and
まゆ
Mayuri
りさんの
Shina
ことを助けたい
too.
のもでも
Then,
じゃあ気持ちとして
I'd
は
love to help,
協力したいですが残念ながら
unfortunately, my help would
私が
just make
協力
things
すること
worse.
で私は
I'm being constantly monitored by Stratfor.
常に
Constantly? Whenever I'm talking to someone like this, all the information is transferred to Stratfor. There's a hidden function in the Madius app that does that. Even Mao hadn't known that existed.
だから
So, if you try to help Okabe, Dr. Leskinen will know all about it.
デスキに
じゃあ
But
どうす
then
れ
what
ば
do I do?
でも逆に
But if you're willing to take advantage of that,
それを利
there's
用
something
し
we
て
can
手を
do.
打てます先輩
Mao, will you trust me?
先輩
Mao? Yeah,
あなただけが
you're all I've got.
頼りを
ありがとうございます
Thank you.
ちなみにこの
By the way,
対話内容
I'm sure this conversation is being monitored as well.
されてる
What?
そんな
But then,
じゃあ
if they know
もし
you're helping
あな
me,
たが私
パターンとしては
there are three possibilities.
サーバーからデー
They
タ
could
を
take
利用
up my data off the server and isolate me,
または古い
or
バージョ
overwrite
ン
my
の記憶
data with an
データ
older
で
version of my
管理さ
memories.
れてしまう最悪の場合
In the
には
worst case, they could delete me
私という存
entirely.
在そのもの
そんな
No,
大丈夫です
don't worry.
あなたは
You're capable of standing up on your own 2 feet.
立ち上がれる
私のこと
I'm
なんか
not
どうで
worried
も
about
いい
me,
わ
I'm worried about
あ
you.
なたの
私は
Nothing but
ただ
data.
のデータですよ
But thank you. The Kurisu on the screen bowed and smiled. I'm proud that I was able to work with you, Maho.
魔法
What? Don't talk like that. It's the last time we're ever gonna see each other.
やめな
Well, it might be.
会えない
私は
I hate
あな
you.
たのことそうやっていつだっ
You
て
always do this.
私を置いて
You always go and
先に
leave
行って
me
しまうのだ
behind.
から
That's who Kurisu Makise was. When Mao had asked her for help, both she and Kurisu should have been prepared. That's why.
いつか必ず
Someday, I'll catch
私
up
はあ
to
なた
you.
に追いつそれどころか
No, I'll
追い
surpass
越
you.
してやるからそれまで待ってな
Just
さい
you wait. Yeah.
はい
Kurisu smiled once more and disappeared from the screen. Mao wiped away her tears and thwapped the crying girl next to her on the helmet.
いつまで泣いている
How long are you going to keep crying?
あなたは
You want to save my
マユ
Yuri,
リさん
right?
を助けただったら
So help me.
私
Help you?
まず
First, we need to
岡
find
部さんを助ける
Okabe.
わ彼なら
He should be able to show us
今
how
の
to
事
get
態
out
を
of
何
this.
とかする
You know where Stratford's hideout is. I don't.
私だって知らな
Neither
い
do
わ
I. But Mao grabbed the girl by the hand and helped her up, then raced down the stairs.
知らないけど
I don't know.
すぐに
My friend is going
私
to
の
find me
可
the
愛い
answer
後輩
soon.
が調べて教えてくれる
She told me to believe in her. Risu Makise wouldn't betray me. Huh? As soon as she left the radio building, she got a message on her Rhine. The gunfire was continuing. As she hurried away, she looked down at her phone. The basement of Tokyo Denki. I just learned this now. I followed their monitoring to find their location. Take care of Okabe for me. Teach that damn pervert of a professor what happens to peeping toms who watch me all the time. When she read it, she smiled despite everything that was going on.
ありがとう
Thank you,
クリス
Kurisu.
ありがとう
Thank you. She clutched the phone tightly to her chest. But then she quickly changed gears.
ストラト4の
I found the
アジトが
Stratford
どこに
hideout.
あったかは
Tell me where it is. I'll go there and kill everyone inside. Mao shivered out the ice in her words. She felt a bottomless madness coming from the woman in the motorcycle suit. But for now, she had to cooperate with her. There was no way she could get Rintaro back from Maho on her own.
行きましょう
Let's go. She needed to take responsibility for the future she'd created. To avoid that cruel future. Mo ran through the streets of Akihabara where a war was already beginning. Okabe. Huh? A voice. I could hear a voice.
岡部さん
Okabe? Someone was calling my name. I slowly woke up and turned towards the voice. Mao!
岡部さん
Okabe. Mao was standing in the darkness. She had a smile on her face that was somehow lonely. And somehow sad.
ごめんなさい
I'm sorry.
もう
You're not gonna see me again.
あなたの前 If I'm around you, I might betray you again. Listen, I know this is selfish, but I want you to do something for me. Please. Find Steins Gate. Oh, you've been captured. Something terrible has happened to the world. Mayuri and Suzuha are both missing. Kagari and I went to the Stratford hideout to save you. Kagari died there, but she took several of them with her. Dr. Leskinen was the only one to escape. Amadius was deleted too. This is all just too much, isn't it? But now you're our only hope. Please. I know it's horrible to just leave this all to you, but... Please, reach Steins Gate no matter what. Okay, Okabe. Farewell.
Hyajo! Huh? What the? Huh? I woke up on top of blankets laid out on the floor of a hospital. Huh? The rooms and even the halls outside were overflowing with wounded people. There weren't enough beds, so there were blankets placed on the floor. Where was I? I thought I was back to the Otherworld line, with the war. But I wasn't. According to the news on TV, there had been a terror attack in Akihabara. A special forces group from another country had gone on a rampage. It was like something out of a war. The incident had come to an end and the mystery special forces unit disappeared. But many were dead or wounded after the battle. I didn't really remember how I got here. The last thing I remember was being locked up and horribly tortured by Leskinen. My whole body ached, in fact.
Okay, Okabe. Farewell.
And then I remembered what Mao had said to me in that dream. Was that real? Mao had saved me. And had she mentioned Kagari? I patted down my pockets and found my phone was still there. I tried to call Mayuri. If that dream was real, Mayuri was missing. But that was impossible. I'd chosen this world line so that Mayuri would survive. If nothing else, it was guaranteed that she'd make it to 2036. She couldn't die today in 2011. Mayuri, answer me. But no matter how many times I called, she didn't pick up. I forced myself to stand up and leave the hospital room. I went out to the roof. It seemed I was at the Ochanomizu hospital where Fubuki had stayed before. The morning sky was amazingly clear. I could see Akihabara in the far distance. There were pillars of smoke rising up. I shivered at the strange sight. Even from here, I could tell how fierce the battle must have been. The world's history was proceeding as John Titor had prophesized. I tried calling Mayuri again from the roof, but nobody picked up. My next move was to call Daru out of desperation. Hello? Ocarine! Daru! Good. You're alive. You too. I'm glad you're safe. Things were surprisingly quiet by lab. Where are you now? On the run. I left Akihabara. I see. I've gotten in touch with both Fairstown and Luca. Both of them said they'd been evacuated. Hey, Ocarine. I can't find Mayushi or Suzuha. And the time machine was completely destroyed yesterday. There's nothing left, not even a piece of scrap. Things are moving so much faster than Suzuha told us they would. So it wasn't a dream after all. While I was unconscious, she said her goodbye. Hey, Daru. Am I not allowed to live a normal life? I was ready for this to happen. I'm the one who chose a world where the Third World War occurred instead of Steins Gate. But I never thought I'd survive and everyone else would die. This isn't fair. Were the laws of God never going to forgive me? No matter what? Was it that much of a sin to escape the wheel of fate? If it was, then why not just curse me? I'm going to make a time machine. Daru. I don't have a choice. I can't let it end this way. What are you going to do, Ocarina? The smoke was still rising over Akihabara. I stared at it in shock. I... Tears welled up. I fell to the ground. I didn't have the strength to stand up. I couldn't answer Daru's question. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you work to change things, everything converges back to the way God wants it. You're wasting your time struggling against it, Daru. I'm so tired. I need to sleep a little. There's still a few years before the Third World War really begins. And there's 14 years before I die. I'll live my life averting my eyes from reality, not wasting my time with a fight that can't be won. That's the only end that's fitting for a person like me. I'm sorry, Maho. I'm sorry, Mayuri. I'm sorry, Kurisu. Forgive me for giving up here. Well, that's the first of the endings. I'm also gonna mute the audio. I don't know if ending credits gets copyright struck, but just in case. So, that, according to my research, is the first ending that we have obtained. The bad ending, Gehenna Stigma. I will say, this game definitely feels a lot shorter in the aspect of, like, we went through, like, we didn't start getting endings until, like, 7 parts into the first game. Not that that's a bad thing. I think it makes sense that this game's shorter, considering it's, like, everything's already established. We're just seeing, like, you know, what-if scenarios. Well, that was painful. That hurt. And it also gave me some valuable information of knowing, such as, do not trust Leskinen, despite how nice he seems. Great. Great. We're still going to continue after this, so don't worry. We're not going to end stream just yet. I usually end at, like, 3 or 4 hours, so we're still going to go. Don't worry. We're still staying. I just, gonna let the credits play out first. And then we'll continue. Well, the only thing I can say that might be a bright side is that maybe the other endings won't be as bad. I mean, again, this was literally titled in the guide I have as the bad ending. Like, this isn't, like, the other endings are titled with, like, like, their name and then what character they're ending for. Like, you know how in the first game there was the Mayuri ending, the Kurisu ending, blah, blah, blah. This game's, like, the ending that this game has, it's titled Gehenna's, parentheses, bad, Gehenna Stigma, parentheses, bad ending. That's literally what this ending's titled as. So, hopefully we've gone past the worst of it. Maybe? Probably not. Actually, you know what? Screw that. I said that about the first game, and you know what happened when I said that about the first game, when I thought, like, oh, hey, we gone past the worst of it. The final chapter happened, we killed Kurisu, and we had every single anxiety attack in the world possible happen. So great. That's just... Gehenna Stigma completed. Extra adds to the title menu, CG library, sound library, movie library, tips. New item was added to tips. So clear list. Gehenna Stigma. Yeah, there are 6 endings. Does that match up with the guide I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that matches up. 5 normal endings and then 1 true ending. And we just got the worst possible ending, so great! Great! Now, thankfully, my foresight was good enough to, at the very least, prepare in advance, have a save ready for getting the other endings. Next up, the next easiest ending to get, the one that would probably be quickest to get at this rate, would I guess be, if looking at this correct, I guess it would be the Mayuri ending if this is what I'm reading correctly. So we need to go back to this save of Pandora's Box. This save has us, at this save, we get the, this is when we went with, Maho to see Daru and try opening up the computer. However, then we get this call from Kurisu. Answering the call is what gives you the, bad ending. However, if we don't answer it, we should be on track to another ending. So, let's not answer. It's from Kurisu. Ma looked troubled. I didn't want Kurisu hearing this either. I didn't know what to do. And then I remembered the world line where I'd spent a month during wartime. I remembered that the Amadeus Kurisu was being used by the US military there. I still didn't know what that meant. I stared at my phone's screen. I see, so probably by answering this, we probably, like, told them everything that they need to know. But if we don't answer it, then they don't get to know. Should I answer it? Or should I talk to Daru first?
I was really surprised you two knew each other, though. I wasn't sure what to say when I saw you together at May Queen. Well, I figured it out quick, though. You both knew Kurisu Machise. But Mao-tan, you said you were going to tell Ocarina about this. Did you change your mind?
It'd be more accurate to say that he figured it out for himself.
Oh, I see.
Daru nodded and grabbed some snacks off the table to gobble down. I put the smartphone in my pocket. That was a long time. Okay, so, if I'm correct, that has now locked us into another ending, so... For now, I need to focus on talking to Daru. Now, what I'm worried of is, you know what's probably going to happen in a second here? We're probably about to get attacked. Because you know why? You know what happened when we answered Kurisu before? She got to tell us that, hey, there were guys, like, coming over to this building to attack you guys. Or, sorry, like, no, there was, like, the other 2 places got ransacked looking for stuff. And now, basically, okay, long story short, from getting the call, we went outside and that prevented us from being in the building when the other guys attacked. So by not taking the call, we're not going to go outside the building and we're probably going to get attacked here in a few seconds. Or in a few minutes. But, for now, I need to focus on talking to Daru.
So, what do you want to talk about?
You know what I wanted to talk about. I'm here with Hyajo. Show me the laptop and hard drive that Kurisu left behind.
Did you figure out the password?
I have no idea. What do you mean? I'm telling you, I'm trying to tell you one simple thing. Stop trying to analyze that laptop right now. There may be something lurking within it so terrible that it will plunge the entire world into chaos. Hey, are you listening?
Get a grip, dude.
So you're one of those, huh?
No, I'm being serious. This isn't about Kyohune.
Get a grip, dude.
I have a grip! Slam my hand down on the table. The shock was enough to cause one of the empty cans on the table to fall to the floor. Listen to me, okay? This involves Suzuha.
Suzuha?
You know what Suzuha's job is, right? Whoa. There's a lot more in here. Wait, what? Hang on. Kusuke... A net slang shortening of Kuashiku, or give me details. Used when you want more information about something. Hang on. These are just the future gadget things. He gained the ability to send D-mails messages that could go back into the past. After he arrived in the Bay World Line, Okabe destroyed it and disposed of the remains. Ghost in a ball. Yeah, these are all the same things as before. Yeah. Yeah, all these tips were in the first game too. Nakabachi's paper. That was enough for Daru to understand.
Seriously?
I've been serious this whole time.
I see. Well, I more or less assumed that was the case.
Daru didn't say another word. He opened a locked fire-resistant case that was sitting on one of the racks. There was a laptop and a hard drive hidden within. That's it. The laptop was a deep red Japanese model with a 12-inch LCD screen. The hard drive was American, from a brand known for equipping its drives with a shock-resistant rubber case. Laptop and hard drive that Kurisu left behind. Just to double check, you weren't able to break the security, right?
Well, you know how it is. No hacker can get through my software.
Don't do anything else with it.
I've been paid it already, though.
He looked apologetically towards Maho. She was glaring at me. I asked this before, but what exactly are you hiding when it comes to Kurisu? Trying to learn the truth isn't always the answer. That's just what you think. You don't even give me the information I need to make that choice. It's dangerous, you know. Oh, you were just attacked, right? I don't want to be a coward who just hides behind your knight in shining armor. I'm a scientist. I don't want to give up on trying to reach the truth, no matter how dangerous that may be. You just don't understand. If Kurisu was here, she'd probably say the same thing, wouldn't she? I was startled. Ma was right. I remembered having the same conversation with Kurisu. It was when we were looking into CERN, I think.
You're gonna have to tell her, man.
Daru!
Maotan doesn't look like anything you say is gonna convince her.
Yeah, it's not.
It's probably more dangerous to be involved and not know what the deal is, right? Only if what you're saying is true, though.
Daru had a point. At this rate, Mao could very well get herself in deep trouble without realizing what she'd done. Just the fact that she was carrying Kurisu's belongings made her a part of the Third World War, but she had no idea. That computer wasn't just something to remember an old friend by anymore. That thing is dangerous. I don't even have a chibi to look at. Whoops. It was at the center of an international power struggle. Russian-speaking arsonists had forced their way into Kurisu's home in America. Afterward, mysterious men claiming to be in the FBI had searched Dr. Leskinen's lab. This whole thing was on the verge of exploding. And people like me were nothing in the face of a war between nations. It'll mean telling her about Suzuha. Are you okay with that, Daru?
We don't have a choice, do we?
I turned back towards Maho. Kyajo, can you promise me one thing? You're a scientist, and I believe a very logical person. Don't let your emotions lead you into doing something stupid. Don't do something rash. Don't be like I once was. What I'm about to tell you is hard to believe. You may think it's impossible, but it's true. So, get to the point. What is it you want me to promise? Don't get any ideas about saving Kurisu Makise. What? Her mouth hung open, like she didn't understand what she just heard. Save Kurisu? If you can't promise that, then I won't tell you anything. So what will it be? Does that mean it's possible that I could save her? You may think so, but I'm telling you right now there isn't. What did I just say? I can't give you any answer until I've been given the information I need to decide. Tell me everything. I took a deep breath and began to tell her the story. Well, I think we've already screwed up. I told her about the time machine, about Suzuha, about the Third World War, and about the relationship between Kurisu and Dr. Nakabachi. And that was what supposedly Dr. what was supposedly Dr. Nakabachi's theory was actually based off Kurisu's writings. I told her about the original copy of Kurisu's work, or might be hidden on her laptop or hard drive. And I told her that Russia and America might be fighting over it. As for how Kurisu died, I decided to skip that. Mao was silent the whole time I spoke, with a confused expression on her face. She looked like a girl who just graduated to middle school and who was staring at a string of equations on a blackboard that were nothing like she'd ever seen before. Her expression didn't change even when I finished.
Is this true? It's not made up.
I was asking Daru, not me. Yeah. You can't bring yourself to believe it.
That's not it. It's just so different from what I was expecting that I'm having a hard time processing it.
What were you expecting?
I thought it might be about using Amadeus for military purposes.
Military purposes?
Kurisu spent a lot of time at the psychophysiology lab. She said sometimes she'd be visited by people who looked like they didn't belong there at all. She said that she thought they were from a Department of Defense.
Russia, the FBI, and now the United States Department of Defense. This was getting even more suspicious. Can Amadeus kill someone? How?
Well, for example, we could take the memories of a veteran pilot and copy them, then use them to control drones. And remember what I said about medical applications?
You mean copying memory data back to the brain?
Yeah. If you could alter memory data then send it back to the brain, you could make soldiers who didn't feel fear, or who could carry out any kind of unethical mission without hesitation.
Wow. Sounds like a Hollywood movie.
Did this mean reality had caught up to books and movies?
My thought was that Kurisu had found proof that they were running experiments like that.
And that's why they went after her?
Yeah.
I picked up the laptop. Its red body was evidently made of some kind of magnesium alloy, and it was a lot lighter than it looked.
I never expected a time machine, though.
Either way, we should destroy it immediately.
Without looking to see what's inside, we don't know for sure that's got what you're talking about.
It doesn't matter what's inside. As long as it still exists, it could start a war. She still didn't seem satisfied.
But it's proof that Kurisu was alive once. It's what she left to us. We can't just get rid of it.
If you learn what's inside it, they may come after you.
That's true, but...
If this wasn't working, then maybe I need to try another approach. Surely you asked Kurisu about the password, right? Amadeus.
Of course, that was the first thing I tried.
But it didn't work, right? Mao nodded. That's strange, right? Normally she'd know. But the Amadeus Kurisu didn't know what it was. Did she lie? There's only one possibility then. Kurisu herself changed the password without Amadeus knowing. She knew it. Why do you think she did that? Isn't it because she didn't want anyone knowing what it was? Let's not dig up the graves of the dead, okay?
Dig up her grave. It's not like that. I'm sorry. You're right. Maybe I'm getting too obsessed with Kurisu.
I know you really care about her. You shouldn't get involved with this. This might not be Pandora's box. It might be the gate to hell.
Get a grip, dude.
You stop.
Mao hugged the laptop tight to her chest and sighed.
Alright, Okabe. I understand what's going on. I still haven't finished getting it all straight in my head, though. I'll get rid of this laptop.
Thanks. I'm so glad she understood. You really are amazing.
大した人だ。
何が？
How do you figure that?
普通
A normal person would just refuse to accept all this. Or even if they didn't, they'd ask a ton of
否定
questions.
しないまでも。
買いかぶりす
You're
ぎよ
giving me too much credit.
いつもの私
Usually I
だ
wouldn't
った
even
ら
bother refuting this.
否定
I
どこ
wouldn't
ろ
even
か聞く耳
listen.
すら持っていない科学者っていうのは
Normally
ね
a scientist should never deny any possibility, no matter how improbable.
どんな些細
We have
な
a
可能
tendency
性
to
であっ
put
て
too
も
much faith and common
否定
sense
す
in our
べ
own
きではないん
theories.
だけれど
じゃあ
Why is it different this
今回
time?
はなぜ？
そこに
Because Kurisu Makise is involved.
マキセ・クリスが関わ
My
ってい
smile
る
was
から
bitter.
タイムトラベル理論
Time travel trip theory? A time leap machine?
冗談じゃな
You're
いわ
joking. That's
そん
impossible.
なものそうでもね
But it wouldn't be impossible for Kurisu.
クリスならいつだって私
She's
の
always
常
been
識
the
を
one
破
who
壊
proved
し尽
that
くして
everything
き
I
たの
thought I
は
knew was wrong.
あの子
そ
I see.
うか。
That's right. Her Madius login was Salieri. I almost said that, but stopped myself. It seemed to me like that ID held some kind of gloomy meaning to her as a scientist.
So, what about my pay? I actually already used all the money Maotan gave me to reserve this month's H games.
お前
You're terrible.
最低だな。
That's what I do this job for.
いいわ
It's fine. I
お
won't ask for my
金を
money
返し
back.
てだなんて言いませんもともと
I didn't expect much when I
ダ
asked
メ
you
元で
anyway.
頼んだのだし
Just so we're clear, another 2 days and I would have cracked the password, so it's serious.
I still feel like we're about to get shot. Seriously or really? I don't trust this ending either. I don't trust this game in general. This game has learned to drain happiness from me. Anytime that I try to... I say that and I always go back on my word, but I'm... I don't have a rebuttal.
そういうことにしてお
Sure,
くわ
whatever. Ma smiled and turned back to me.
ちなみに
By the way,
一
I
応
want to see
証
proof
拠を
of
見
this.
せてほしいんだ
証拠？
Proof.
どこかに置いて
You
ある
got
んでしょ
somewhere, right? This
その
time
タイ
machine?
ムマシンそれと
And I want to talk to Suzuha
鈴葉
too.
さんに
それは。
Well, I don't know about
どうだろ
that.
うな。
Dara had agreed to it, but still, I told Maho about the time machine without asking Suzuha. We just got into a fight, and I really didn't want to bring this up with her. But even showing Maho the time machine would mean that I need to get Suzuha's permission, and that made it difficult. Dara, why don't you talk to Suzuha for me instead?
鈴葉に話を通すのはお前から。
Before I could finish my sentence, the intercom on the desk beeped.
What is it? I'm busy now.
His tone was the same as ever, but I didn't miss the sudden flash of tension across Dara's face. I've got a bad feeling about this. Yep, we're about to get tortured again. Yippee! This game hurts me. This is not a game for sane sanity. Hey, give me a second. I need to help something with family real quick. Okay. Apologies. Had to give something to someone. Get plugged back in my headset. Alright, where was I? Oh, right. Depression Simulator. Hello? Is something wrong? Dar flipped through several channels on the security monitor as he continued to talk on the phone. All 6 monitors have been displaying the interior of the store, but now they show the entrance to the building, the emergency exit, the corridors, the elevator hall, and the emergency stairs. So we had cameras not just inside the building, but outside it too. But this was no time to be impressed. Yep, the images were covered in white, snowy static. But I could see strange figures on the screens.
なんだ
Who are these guys? The entrance to the building. First floor elevator. 7th floor elevator hall. The 7th floor emergency stairs, and in front of the cosplay shop. There'd been nothing there a moment ago, but now there were 4 men standing in each of those 5 places. They were silent and did not speak to one another. There were around 20 of them in all. Some of them were wearing suits, other typical Akihabara fashions. Yet others were wearing military camo. Individually, none of them would have really stood out in Akihabara. But the fact that so many had come to this lonely place at once seemed terrifying.
Okie dokie. I'm abandoned this location. You bail out when you get a chance to. See you.
Evidently, he'd been talking to the man at the front counter. He put down the intercom and looked at us. Are we just... I hate this game at this point. I like it, but I hate it. This game hurts.
So yeah, we're getting out of here.
What? Dar pulled out a backpack and began tossing hard drives, memory cards, and our piece of equipment into it.
I'll take that laptop too, please.
I stood there, blinking as she handed him Kurisu's laptop and hard drive.
おい
Hey, who are these
あいつらは
people?
誰だ
やっぱり
Are they after Kurisu's
クリスの
PC?
PC が狙われている
Good say. I caused a lot of trouble. This has happened before. Well, that's why I keep this job a secret.
おい
Seriously? Dar took the laptop and hard drive from Maho, threw them into the backpack, and slid them into his back.
そもそも
How are we getting out of here anyway? They're staying right outside the door.
店の
It's a shame, because I like this place. Finally time to say goodbye, huh?
Despite his tone, his expression was still serious. He walked to the corner of the room. There was a life-size poster of a golden-haired Vocalo stuck to the wall. They have a DTM desktop music software for home computers that allows for creation of artificial singing voice.
Excuse me, Rintan.
Dar carefully took the poster off the wall, making sure not to damage it. There was a glass door behind it, which led out to a concrete veranda.
This way.
Wait, this was how we're going to escape. But this was the 7th floor, right? There wasn't time to worry about it. Dar went out to the veranda without bothering to wait for us. I pushed Mao forward and urged her to go ahead of me. The veranda was filled with junk, just like the inside. The floor was covered with old PCs and monitors, as well as old arcade games that were clearly broken. There was barely any place to stand. That meant that as long as you ducked down a little, there was probably no way you could be seen from outside. Maybe he'd set this up deliberately so he could use it in the case of an emergency. From there, we escaped like we were in the spy movie. We removed the board that connected this veranda to the next one, moved down to the room at the edge of the building, then used the emergency ladder to get to the 2nd floor. It was an empty space that Dar rented with some of his acquaintances, and we were able to use the bathroom to escape to an unused room in the next building. My blood ran cold when Dar got a call that the men in front of the cosplay shop had broken in. From there, we planned to escape from the next building's emergency exit. The emergency exit there that led out to a different alleyway than the one we'd originally come in, so in theory, they shouldn't be able to find us. But we were naive. The narrow alleyway between the two buildings was dark and deserted. They were waiting for us there, as if they knew exactly where we were going. We were caught off guard, and before we could run, one of them grabbed Maho. And then there was no way for us to resist. They grabbed Daru and me, twisted our arms behind our backs, and slammed us to the ground. But it wasn't the group who'd attacked us in the building. They were all wearing full face masks, motorcycle suits, and leather jackets. Oh, crap, it's Kagari. One of them, the girl holding down Maho, was clearly a woman. There was only one woman I knew who'd attack us while dressed like that. Don't yell. Do what we tell you. Is this Moeka? Wait, I was right. I knew that voice. I could tell even with her helmet hiding her face. Otherwise, she's dead. She held Mao with her left arm and took out a military knife with her right. She put the knife up to Mao's throat. Don't do it! The horrible memories came flooding back to me. Whether it had happened in a different world line or not, the merciless voice that had taken Mayuri from me was right here. Is it really her? Moeka? Mayuri Shina is not needed. I gritted my teeth so hard it hurt and glared at the woman in the motorcycle suit.
欲しいものなら渡してやる
I'll give you what you want, so don't do it!
だからやめろ
I forced myself to speak, and the woman in the motorcycle suit took the knife away from Maho's neck. She handed her over to one of the other men. And then she took off her helmet. You. You're... Moeka. Here are you. It was you after all. Where is it? Her eyes were completely devoid of emotion. Will this just lead back to CERN, though? Just like they were on August 13th. I was forced off the ground by one of the others. But my arm was still twisted upwards. I tried as hard as I could not to scream from the pain. First, let go of my hand! I can't even talk like this! Moeka slightly nods to the other men. The hand that was holding me drew back. I could finally move again. Dar was released too, and he stood up, mumbling something. Ma was still in their hands. I'll trade it for Dr. Hyajo. Dara, give me your backpack. Oh, alright. Dara was about to take off his backpack. Don't do it! Don't give it to her! Hyajo, stay quiet. She'll kill you. It's not just a threat. Would Kurisu be happy if you died over her paper? Oh god, I didn't even think of this possibility, but I'm terrified. Is one of these endings gonna lead back to the Alpha World line? I really hope not. No, surely not. Maho looks like a small child on the verge of tears. Still glaring at Moeka, I took the laptop and hard drive out of the backpack. This is it. Hand me the backpack too. Let Hyajo go first. She didn't respond. Fine then. I'd have to bluff. If you want the password to the crypto, don't think about cheating us. I put the two items back in the backpack and handed it over to her. It was all I could do to keep my voice from quaking. Nobody can boot this thing without the right password. Hackers all over the world have tried and failed. I'll tell you once our safety is guaranteed. I don't want to get killed the moment we hand it over. Of course, I had no clue what the password was. If they found that out, we were doomed. Dar was giving me a questioning glance. I ignored it. Keep your damn mouth shut, Daru. You're right. Alright, she fell for it. I meant... Then one of you is coming with me. Huh? We'll let two of you go immediately. If the password is correct, we'll let the other one go as well. It's not good enough. No, we can't be sure the one who stays will be safe. Then all three of you will come with us. This woman... I could feel cold sweat on my back. I'd never been involved in a life or death deal before. I had no idea what to do next. Itara Shida, come this way.
Me?
We're told you're a specialist. Bring the backpack over here.
No,
If you come, we'll leave the R2 here. Wait, then I'll go. That's fine, right? My superiors told me nothing about you. I can't even say if you really know the password. Damn, she saw through me. We could put the knife back to Maho's neck. Itara Shida, come, quickly.
I'd rather hear that line said in a more erotic situation.
Daru was joking, but his whole body was shaking. What do I do? I'm going to kill Daru. I thought as fast as hard as I could, but nothing came to me. In this world line, Daru was going to live until 2036 and complete the time machine. That much was clear from Suzua's testimony. If the world lines were going to converge, even if Moeka took Daru here, he wouldn't be killed. Oh, right? No, that didn't mean I could just leave him here. One of the men with Moeka was looking at his watch. She noticed it too. They might have felt they were taking too much time with a kidnapping done in broad daylight. I hoped that somebody might wander by, but there was no counting on that stroke of luck. I need to solve this mystery myself instead of relying on others. Do I need to kill someone first? I felt a cold knife pressed hard against my carotid artery.
Toe green!
No!
Dara and Mara was screaming, but suddenly it all seemed unreal, like it was taking place in a distant world. They say that's what happens whenever someone is confronted with their own death, and it was happening to me now. I can't die either way, right? I tried asking myself that. I tried asking Suzuha, even though she wasn't here. I tried asking the world. Of course, nobody answered. The fact that I might not die didn't mean I could do something. Didn't mean I could do something stupid here. A normal college kid like me would be too scared to move once they had a knife to their neck. I'd seen people die many times, and I'd almost been killed, but I never did get used to it. Thoughts of Karisu's blood came back into my mind, and I almost suffered a flashback. My body shook, and it was all I could do to keep from collapsing to the ground. Was there nothing else I could do? Huh? Just when I was about to give up, a black van pulled up and braked hard at one end of the alley, blocking us in. The sliding door opened, and out poured men carrying assault rifles. Crap. They were all wearing gray military uniforms and face masks. Their eyes were the eyes of trained soldiers. From their huge frames and the color of their skin, it was clear that they weren't Japanese. I immediately realized that this was all real. It wasn't cosplay or anything like that. Those guns were real, and the battle was about to begin. My experience with the August 13th attack and the war zone I'd lived in until only a few days ago came back to me. Everyone, hide! It didn't matter who was friend or foe. Roika moved the instant I spoke. She saw the attackers and jumped into the shadow of a nearby building. The other rounders spread out too. I let go of Maho, who was standing up, confused, in the middle of the alley. Maho, get down! The man who was holding me, it was the only one who reacted a bit too slowly. There was a sharp noise, and a bullet went through the helmet of the rounder who was holding a knife to my throat. As he went down, I went down with him, and I hit the ground hard. The impact made me let go of Daru's backpack. One of the other rounders grabbed it off the ground and ran in the opposite direction of the van. The man got out of the van, evidently the commander, and barked orders in what sounded like Russian. One of the soldiers turned their gun on the fleeing rounder. Her body flew up off the ground as both she and the backpack were torn open. The contents of the backpack fell to the ground, scattering across the asphalt. The laptop and hard drive were hit with more gunfire than possibly could have been necessary. Kreese's laptop and hard disk were turned into unrecognizable scrap in just a few seconds. I crawled behind a light pole without even bothering to look. Wait, so it got destroyed? It really all happened in an instant. I looked around and the Russian soldiers were running toward us. The Awakened rounders had vanished at some point, leaving only the two bodies. The soldiers silently recovered the remains of the laptop and hard disk, picked up the bodies of the two rounders, and got right back into the van. They didn't even pause to look at us. There were only a couple of minutes between the time when they arrived and when they left. All that were left were little fragments lying on the ground. The blood from the two bodies. Maho, who was lying on the ground and shaking. Daru, who was standing in shock behind one of the buildings. And me, lying on the ground. My heart had been pounding the whole time. I only felt the pain in my neck after it was all over. Evidently, the knife had cut me a little when I'd fallen. A while later, we finally heard the sirens of a police car. And it was only then that I remembered that I was in Akihabara, Japan. The Third World War may have started long ago, and we just didn't know it. I realized that in the face of a war between nations, we truly were powerless. Akihabara was in an uproar. There were lots of helicopters in the sky that probably belonged to the media. We escaped to the lab, making sure that no one was following us. It hadn't been that long since we were attacked at the hotel. If the cops found us at the scene of another crime like that, they'd be suspicious for sure. So we ran before the police arrived. Suzuha wasn't at the lab. Maybe she'd sensed what was going on outside and went to check on the time machine. We held our breath and waited. It felt like if we let anyone know we were here, more scary people would burst down the door and charge in. Hashida, do you have any towels here?
Yeah, in the washroom.
Mao nodded and brought a new towel from the washroom. Marius, I hear he. Anxiety. She handed it to me.
Okabe, your neck's bleeding. Put this on it.
Thanks.
ありがとう。
My neck was wet with blood. Fortunately, it wasn't a deep wound, so it wasn't long before it stopped. After handing me the towel, Mao sat down right on the floor and didn't move. They destroyed the computer, though, didn't they? They said they shot it, right? Hit with more gunfire than possibly could have been necessary, laptop and hard drive returned to unrecognizable scrap in just a few seconds. But they picked up the pieces of it. Could they do anything with that? You know, I gotta say something about how this game makes me feel terrified. Honestly, there's a slight part of me that kind of gets scared to like start up this game and start playing through it every time. Like before starting stream, I always get this like feeling like, I don't want to continue. I'm scared. I don't want to know what continues on. It's hurt so much already. And yet I know that, I mean that in a good way, strangely, because it's like, that's the point. It's supposed to be painful. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to be scary. The thoughts that this game makes me have. It's horrifying. Every single time I'm about to start the stream, there is a part of me that's just like, don't do it today. Do it tomorrow. In fact, I was originally planning to, I have some free time over the next week where I can do a stream each day, but a part of me is just like, I don't want to do it each day. How mentally draining is this game going to be on me if I do a recording each day? But again, strangely, I don't mean that at all in a bad way. I just... It's just how the game makes you feel. It's terrifying, but in a good way. It makes you think. This series is something else, man. I knew how she felt, especially since this was the second time she'd been attacked. And this time, people had died right in front of her.
大丈夫か?
You okay, Hyajo?
宮城さん。
Yeah.
She nodded hesitantly, but her face was deathly pale. And I realized that she'd been clutching her left hand into a fist this whole time, and there was blood coming out of it.
怪我したのか?
Did you get hurt? Show me.
見せて。
Huh?
Evidently, she hadn't noticed she'd been hurt. She was looking at her left hand, confused.
Huh?
どうした?
What's wrong?
My fingers won't move. That's strange.
Mao had been holding some small fragment in her left hand. Her hand had frozen around it and wouldn't move. Soon it started to shake. I grabbed her hand and forced open her fingers one by one. Whatever it was, she'd been clutching it so tightly that she'd cut off the blood flow to her fingers. They were very cold. When I finally forced her hand open, the thing she was holding fell onto the floor. What was it? I picked it up. Oh, it's a piece of the laptop. It's a red piece of magnesium alloy. It was a piece of Kurisu's laptop. She must have grabbed it off the ground when she was running away. If she held something so sharp tightly for so long, of course she was gonna bleed. I returned it to Ma without a word. She took the broken fragment and cradled it in her hands, then stared at it with an empty expression. Suddenly, a single line of tears dropped down her cheeks. It's okay. You can cry. After that, it didn't stop. She continued to sob. It's okay. Cry all you want.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't protect you. I'm so sorry.
It was as if that tiny fragment was Carissa herself. She held it to her chest and kept crying.
ヒヤジョさん、
Hyajo,
きっと
I'm sure Carissa feels relieved.
クリスは
Huh?
君が無事で
She's glad you're safe.
だから
So, you don't need to apologize.
君が
There's
謝
nothing
る
to
ことは
apologize
ない
about. She didn't respond. Instead, a phone started to vibrate.
Oh, it's mine.
私
Mao took out her cell phone and looked at the message she received.
レスキネン教
It's
授
from
から
Dr. Leskinen.
どうした？
What's wrong?
荒らさ
He
れた
says the office and hotels are ransacked.
オフィ
His
ス
and
と
mine.
あ
They're
と
messy, he says.
ホテルの
そうか。
I see. Whether it was the Rounders, the Russians, or whoever first surrounded the cosplay shop, they must have been after Carissa's laptop and hard drive. Something's not right, though. Something doesn't... They destroyed the laptop and the hard drive. Why? That's what we wanted to do.
あの PC
There's no backup of that computer's data,
バ
right?
ックアップは
That's right.
それなら
Then this is for the best.
クリスの残した
What Carissa left behind won't be used as a tool to kill
何十億
billions
の
of
人を
people.
殺す道具として使われることはなくなったんだから。
In the end, I got what I wanted. The data was destroyed before anyone got their hands on it. There was so little left that I was sure there would be no way to restore it. I don't know. Wait, why'd the Russians destroy that computer? That's what I'm trying to understand. It doesn't make sense.
Didn't they want to get their hands on it?
今のところ
Russia's in the lead in the race
タイ
for
ム
the
マ
time
シン
machine
開
right
発競
now.
争じゃロシアからすれ
From
ば
their perspective, it'd be great if they could get
ノ
their
ート PC を
if
手
they
に
could
入れ
get the
られればそれ
laptop.
でよし。だが
But they'd probably rather destroy it than let someone else get their hands on it, right?
壊してしまった方がマシ
They probably wanted to avoid a protracted gunfight with the Rounders in broad daylight in Japan. Here's the thing, we know it hasn't changed anything, because when Suzuha mentioned if something changed for the better, or rather, would Suzuha even exist if things changed for the better? Wouldn't her time machine be gone? The cold way they made their decisions made me shiver. They were really professional. They really were professional soldiers. So, So wait a minute. Kagari had the same outfit as Moeka. Does that mean that, technically speaking, is Kagari a rounder? Again, they have the same outfit. Kagari could potentially be a rounder, I guess. But at the same time, I was gonna say that why would she want to be with CERN? Because if she helps CERN get what they want, then they go back to the Alpha World line, meaning that Mayuri dies early. But I guess there is a possibility that maybe she just doesn't know that. I mean, the only ones who really know that is technically really only Okabe. But I don't know. An amateur couldn't do that. So what do we do now?
できればここ
I'd
に
rather
は
not
いたく
stay
ない
here if I can avoid it. Russia might not know about this place, but Moeka might. If the Rounders were on the move, then Tsunuji downstairs might be involved too.
日が暮れたら移
We
動
could
し
move
よ
at
う。
sunset. It would have been great if Suzuha had come back, but I couldn't get in touch with her. Back with Maho. Oh god. Oh, I thought she was in a hospital bed for a second. No, she's in a bathtub. Yeah. Ma was sinking into the warm bathtub. She could finally feel blood flowing through her body again. The heat melted the tension away from her muscles. Her injured hand hurt a little, but it wasn't unbearable. She felt like she'd come back to life. Once the sun had set, Mao and Rentaro had gone to Ferris, the cat-eared maid at May Queen Yan Squared, for help. Ferris's home was at the top of a high-rise condo building on prime Akihabara real estate. From a security perspective, it was superior to the future gadget lab in every way imaginable. Ferris welcomed the two of them, offering them food and a place to sleep. And now, she'd even offered them a bath. Ma was a little worried about Itaro Hashida. He insisted on staying to wait for his younger sister Suzuha and remained alone at the future gadget lab. More than an hour had passed since then. Had Rintaro heard anything? And even if they'd move, that didn't mean this place was safe. A group from this afternoon could attack at any time. She couldn't help but feel nervous. And that made her feel terrified and vulnerable as she sat naked in the bath. She got out of the bathtub and hurried to the changing room to wipe herself down. She tried to put on the change of underwear Ferris had given her. Hey. Hey, no. Hands started shaking, knee buckle fell to the ground. Extreme tension after relaxation. This is bad. Arm blouse were going up her head, knowing it would pass when... Oh, hi.
How's the water?
Leave. What are you doing? Ferris screamed and started to panic when she saw Ma naked and lying on the floor.
You're going to die. Nyan's going to die.
No,
It's fine.
Ma's voice was so weak that Ferris didn't even hear her.
I need to get her to the bed.
Ferris tried to pick up the naked Maho and then slipped and dropped her. Nice. Nice job. Good sound effect. Mao hit the back of her head on the floor. She saw little stars dancing across her field of vision.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Sprawling naked on the floor, face up, Mao tried to force herself to stand, but her arms were too weak.
Listen, this will pass soon.
But Ferris wasn't listening. For some reason, she decided to reach around Maho from behind and try to drag her up. And then Rintaro must have heard Ferris' scream because he ran in. Leave, Rintaro! No! Get out of here! What's wrong, Ferris? Not again! Why is it... Out! 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 She wanted to scream, but all that came out was a tiny whimper. Out! Up! Get up! I still don't trust this game. Don't give me this silly music. Every time you give me this silly music, you're trying to butter me up with happiness. There is no soul to be had here. There's no happy soul. There's only depression. I'm really sorry. I mean it. Rintaro lowered his head deeply towards Maho as she lay on the bed.
You don't need to apologize. It was an accident.
Well, at least you understand it was an accident. Get up! But she still couldn't bear to look at him in the face. Just remembering the despair and embarrassment she felt when he saw her naked body made her want to bury her head in a pillow and flail her legs back and forth. To make matters worse, she still hadn't been able to stand up after all that, and Rintaro had been forced to carry her to the bed. She'd never been touched by a boy before, so it was only today that she realized how rugged male arms were. Being carried was extremely uncomfortable to the point where she squirmed around and almost slipped out of his arms. So she had no choice but to curl herself into a ball and let Rintaro do whatever he wanted with her, which made her feel really strange. And now she couldn't even bear to look at his face. Thanks, game.
It was my fault for panicking like that.
It kind of was your fault, I'm not gonna lie. Ferris was sitting next to Rintaro, feet under her knees, with her shoulders slumped.
No, it's fine. I'm really sorry for scaring you, in fact.
You're sure you're okay? You don't need to go to a hospital?
All attention caught up with me is... All attention caught up with me is all. I must have really worried you. I'm so embarrassed.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Anybody would be scared after what happened today. Anyone would feel sick.
Even you?
Madam, you don't even know half the timelines I've gone across. The amount of times I've seen somebody die, the amount of times in an ending that didn't even happen and for this reality, got my own stomach stabbed open to save the girl I love, except that didn't happen here. But the point is, I think Okabe's been through a hell of a lot worse. And yet somehow he also keeps getting put down under much, much worse things. I just want Okabe to have a happy life at this point. I just feel bad for this man, you know? This guy just has the worst existence possible. And all because he wanted to have fun with his friends and make silly little inventions. And then suddenly he's part of this huge conspiracy of CERN taking over the world, World War III happening in another timeline, and he has to watch his childhood friend die over and over and over again, and the love of his life die. I had never be able to save her in the one reality. It's just, this man... Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I see. Get some rest for now. Yeah. You can think about what happened and what you're going to do next after you're feeling better. That's right. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Thank you.
Mao closed her eyes. The lights went out and Rentaro and Ferris left the room, and then they suddenly got raided, and once again everything is terrible. I was joking. Don't give me the heartbeat. She lay on the bed and tried not to think about anything. She could hear the pounding of her heart. It would get louder and then softer. The rhythm was very strange, and she could hear a kind of static noise mixed in with her heartbeat, like a broken TV. Was it exhaustion-induced tinnitus? Whatever it was, once she noticed it, she couldn't sleep.
Come to think of it, Okabe said he was taking some tranquilizers.
She wasn't supposed to do this, but if she looked at their ingredients, she could tell what medications had what effect. She should take a look and have him lend her some. If that wasn't possible, she could at least get some over-the-counter antihistamines to use as a sleep aid. She turned over.
Don't yell. Do what I tell you. Otherwise, you're dead.
What do you mean? Suddenly she heard a voice break through the unpleasant noise. She gulped and leapt out of bed. Terror-stricken, Mao tried to crawl to the door. Her legs wouldn't move like she wanted to. She couldn't stand up. The voice in her ears followed her wherever she went. It was like a wild animal toying with its prey. All the hairs on her body were standing up on end. Her jaw was chattering so hard she bit her tongue. She desperately crawled across the carpet and towards the door.
Do I have to kill one of you?
Stop! No! No! Hyajo, wake up! She woke up to find herself being violently shaken by the shoulders. She looked around the room, panting. She was in bed and Rentaro was looking down at her. Wait, was it just a dream? A nightmare? Her whole body was sweaty and she felt sick. There was a burning sensation deep in her stomach. What's wrong?
Someone's here.
Rentaro looked around. Paris came a moment later, as well as the older man who was her butler. They were simply standing at the entrance of the room, concerned. I'm sure it was just a bad dream. The antique clock on the shelf said that at some point it had gone past 1 a.m. She must have slept for hours without realizing it.
Yeah, you're right. I guess it was just a dream.
She took a painful breath and wiped the sweat off her forehead without realizing that she sounded just like a little child. She sent Ferris and the butler back to their rooms. Rintaro brought her a towel from the washroom.
ひどい汗だ。
You're really sweating. You should wipe yourself down. She did as he said and wiped the beads of sweat off her face, chest, and limbs. As she was deciding whether or not to wipe the inside of her pajamas, Rintaro took the hint and turned around.
俺も自分の部屋に
I'm going back to my room. Call me anytime if you need me.
How's Ashida?
あ、
Oh, I just got
さっき
word.
連絡が
He
来
met
た
with
よ。
Suzuha.
I see.
それじゃあ。
Good night. Rintaro was about to leave her bedside. Maho, she couldn't believe she was doing this, reached out and grabbed the hem of his shirt without thinking.
Wait.
Huh?
Please, it doesn't have to be for long.
少しここに
Just stay here.
いて
ひやちゃんさん。
Hyajo.
一人に
Don't leave me alone.
しないで
Ma was surprised by the words she was saying. But the thought of spending this terrible night all by herself was too much for her. Rintaro must have understood how she felt because he nodded without smiling.
わかった。
Fine. I'll stay with you until you fall asleep.
ありがとう
Thanks. Sorry for asking you to do
わ
this.
がまま言って
いや、
No,
いいん
it's
だ。
fine. I had a hell of a
どうせ俺
time
も
getting to sleep myself.
なかなか寝つけなかった。後ろ向いてるから。
I'll turn around, so at least
汗だ
wipe
けは
off the
ちゃんと
sweat.
拭くといい。
ええ
Okay.
While Rintaro stared back at the door, she took off her pajamas and wiped off the thick layer of sweat that covered her whole body. She tried to put her pajamas on again, but they were too drenched for her to want to wear them. She had no choice but to dive back under the covers in nothing but her underwear and bring the comforter way up above her chest.
もういいわ
It's okay now.
Amidst the dim glow of the nightlight, Rintaro brought out a chair to the side of the bed and sat down.
ここで見張ってる
I'll
か
be
ら。
watching over you right here, so you don't need to worry about a thing. You know you'll be safe,
これな
right?
ら安心だろ。不安か？
You worried?
うん
No, I'm
大丈夫
fine.
Mao's face felt hot from from some feeling that she didn't understand. She sank deeper under the blanket and turned away from Rintaro. She softly closed her eyes. She could feel his presence behind her. The two of them stopped talking, and the only noise was the distant sound of night coming from beyond the curtain. How long did they spend like that? Just as she was about to fall into a light sleep, she heard a soft voice in her ears.
ひやちゃんさ
Hyajo, are you still awake?
ん、まだ。
Yeah.
She felt herself waking up again. She opened her eyes and turned back towards Rintaro, only to see him staring toward the window. It was as if he was trying to see some sight that lay beyond it. His profile is so handsome. For some reason, that was the thought that came to her.
どうか
What's wrong?
したの
Rintaro seemed unwilling to talk, so Mao decided to speak first. He swallowed loudly. I
本当は。
really meant to tell you this a lot sooner,
けど、
but I didn't have the courage. I'm sorry.
勇気がなかった。
何のこと
What are you talking about?
俺は、
I... There's one thing.
一つだけ
One thing?
君に
One thing I haven't told you. Is he gonna tell her about how Kurisu died?
重大なことを隠している。
Oh god. Mao leaned forward, not caring that he might see her chest.
さっき
I told you about the other world line
話したよ
and
な
the。Kurisu I met there. About the time machine and
別
the
の
time
世界
loops.
線のことや、
ええ
Yeah.
クリスと
About Kurisu and her
そ
dad.
のち、
ええ
Yeah.
あの時、
There's actually one more thing I should have told you,
本当はもでも、
but I just couldn't. His head was slumping forward in the chair. Mao waited silently for his next words. Despite the late hours, she heard a helicopter in the distance. For some reason, it sounded really loud. She hadn't seen the news, but it was possible that the media was still talking about the gun battle that had taken place this afternoon.
これは
This was something I needed to tell you, and you alone.
君にだけは
When he finally spoke, his expression was unlike any look she'd ever seen on his face before. It was pained, sad, and suffering. Like someone at the bottom of a deep, dark place. And yet there was something in his eyes that hinted at incredible self-hatred and rage.
岡部さん
Okabe? Suddenly her chest felt like it was about to burst from pain. She didn't know where the pain was coming from, but she wanted Rintaro to stop looking like that. That day,
日
at the radio
な
building,
時間で
the one who killed Kurisu was...
クリスを
His hands were forming some kind of shape. Like he was holding an invisible knife.
クリスを
The one who killed Kurisu was...
殺した
Enough! She screamed, unable to take it anymore. She rolled out of bed, forgetting how she was dressed, and covered Rintaro's hands with her own.
いいのも
That's
ういい
enough! Enough!
それ以上言わなくて
You don't
いい
need
か
to say anymore.
ら私は
I believe you.
あなたを
So
信
you
じて
don't
い
need
る
to tell me.
いつか
Someday, when the time comes, I'm gonna make you tell me whether you want to or not.
嫌でも聞かせて
That
もらう
time
こと
isn't
にな
now.
ると思うその時が来るま
Until
では
that time comes, keep your mouth shut.
口をつぐんでおきなさい
She strengthened her grip and forced him to let go of the invisible knife. Rintaro nodded without saying another word. They simply stared at each other for a while. Al couldn't look away from his gaze. It was as if he was clinging to something, or wandering in search of salvation. Bless you. She sneezed. You're gonna catch a cold.
か
It was only then that she realized that she was holding Rintaro's hands, while wearing next to nothing. Rintaro looked a little embarrassed. I'm sorry. What? She quickly jumped back in the blankets. She curled up into a ball and tore out her hair, screaming inside her mind. She let a boy see her naked not once but twice.
私
This time I'm going to
今
bed.
度こそもうね
邪魔して
Sorry for bothering you.
悪かった
邪魔
You're
だ
not
なんて
bothering me at all.
でも
But never bring that up again, okay?
この場限り
あ
いい
Okay?
あ
Yeah.
ありがと
Thanks, Yajo.
ういや
お礼なんて
I haven't done anything that
言
you
われ
should
る
thank me
筋合いも
for.
ないわそれじゃあ
And anyway, good night.
おやすみなさい
おやすみ
Good night. The room got quiet again. The adrenaline rush kept Mao awake. After a while, she heard snores coming from Rintaro's direction. Evidently, he'd fallen asleep. He must have been tired. He went through the same attack that Mao had. Of course he was. His breathing wasn't peaceful at all. It was pained. He may have been in the grip of some terrible nightmare. Mao hesitated several times, but finally she turned over and stretched out her hand from the blankets. She softly touched the backside of his hand. She felt its warmth on her fingertips.
クリスは
Why did Kurisu call you, I wonder?
あなたのこと岡部さん
Okabe?
それとも
Or
凛太郎
was it Rintaro?
だったのかな
Maybe. She didn't know. But it didn't matter.
しっかりしなさ
Hang
い
in there, Rintaro Okabe.
岡部この私が好きになった
The
人
man
は
I fell in love with really that weak.
そんなに弱い男だったわけ
She tried to think about how Kurisu would say those words. And eventually, Rintaro's breathing started to become more peaceful. Relieved, she let go. And then she changed her mind and grabbed the hem of his shirt again. She felt embarrassed, as if she was a little kid. But at the same time, she felt like now she might not have any more nightmares. That night, for the first time in a very long while, she dreamed of a smiling Kurisu. I still don't trust this. We're not out of the woods yet. This isn't a good ending. Mao and I stayed at Ferris's house for several days after that. Now that Carisu's computer was destroyed, the odds that anyone would come after us had gone way down. But there was still a chance. Just to be extra careful, I stayed away from the lab. Oh god, it's gonna happen again! I don't want it to happen again. I don't like you. I hate you. I hate you. You. Monster. Betrayer. Maho, Lintalo. Dr. Leskinen looked a little thinner since the last time I'd seen him.
Professor, I'm so glad you're safe.
You too, Maho. Sounds like you had a rough time.
No, get away from her. Dr. Leskinen held Maho tightly in his huge arms. Get away from her, you demon. Strapper. The difference in size between them was so great that Maho looked like some kind of stuffed animal.
Professor, that hurts. You're hurting me.
Dr. Leskinen and Maho were leaving the country in the afternoon on a weekday, so I was the only one who could see them off. Since I'd been with Maho the whole time, instead of only seeing them off, I had actually brought her there. Maho, after all, was the kind of person who was incapable of getting to an airport on her own. I was amazed she survived this long, given her lack of basic skills. We held Maho's goodbye party last night at Ferris's house. Ferris was there, and so were Mayuri and Daru, and the artists from the Christmas party. All were sad to see her go.
Lintalo, thanks for staying with Maho. You've really been a great help.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So, when can you come to my lab?
Huh?
I want your brain.
Give me your brain.
Lintalo.
He wasn't kidding about that, huh? I'll study hard so I can go as soon as possible. Can I contact you when I'm ready?
Of course, I'll be waiting.
He smiled as he took my hand and shook it. I was really glad to hear it. After meeting Amadius, my desire to go to Victor Condria had only increased. It shouldn't have.
Let me say thanks, Okabe. Really. If it weren't for you, I might not even be alive right now.
You're exaggerating.
No, I mean it. I'm really grateful. I'll be waiting for you, too. So do your best.
Yeah, you too. Good luck with your research.
So, Lintalo, as we discussed previously, I'm going to be revoking your access rights for Amadius today. That's fine, right?
Yes. Evidently, they couldn't leave me with the access to Amadius after they left the country. You're gonna do something to her! Screw you! I was only supposed to test her during their stay here anyway.
Want to say a final goodbye to Karisu?
I don't know if I do, because I don't know if I trust. I don't trust anything relating to you, aside from Maho. And even then, that's kind of almost... I hate you!
So...
Yeah, you're right. Can I say something real quick?
じゃあ、一言だけいいですか?
Of course.
I tapped the icon for Amadius. What? Do I get a goodbye too? Karisu was expressionless for some reason.
まあな。
I guess so. Do you not need
必要
one?
なかった。
You said goodbye to Maho before me, right? He did.
Maho interjected before I could speak. I hope so. Karisu was inside my screen. Was it a good thing that I'd spoken to her like this? Or a bad thing? In the end, I knew I needed to forget about Karisu Makise. But I couldn't. I couldn't escape from this curse.
アクセス権がなくなった
Once I lose access rights, we won't be able to see each other anymore, will we?
Well, I'm slightly grateful that you gave me someone to talk to. There's a chance that you're coming to Dr. Leskinen's lab, right? I'll make sure to remember you until we meet again.
You're such a tsundere. Yeah, we've already read this in the previous game, I'm pretty sure.
Tsundere? What's that? Don't use words I don't understand.
Then why's your face red?
She's blushing.
Kurisu is just very shy.
Jeez, not you too, Professor.
Stay healthy. Probably isn't the right thing to say. You don't get sick. Don't tease Yajo too much.
Right. You don't need to tell me. I already know.
I hope so.
I hope someday your smile doesn't look so sad. I hope someday you can smile for real.
Huh? I guess even an AI could see right through me. Kurisu Makise really was one hell of a woman.
Bye.
Yeah. Kurisu disappeared from my screen. I turned to Dr. Luskin and nodded, deleting the Amadeus icon from my screen. But handle the paperwork for the access revocation on our own later. Thanks for your help with the testing. We got some really valuable data. No, thank you. I bowed deeply both to Maho and Dr. Leskinen. As I watched their plane take off into the distance, I noticed that it felt like there was a hole in my heart. I clutched my phone tightly, its connection to Amadeus gone. Presage or recognize? Wait a minute, what? Kagari! What the? What the? What's going on? Oh god.
Kagari, from now on, you're officially my daughter.
This was when Kagari was 6. She'd been living in a facility for war orphans and getting treatment at a dedicated clinic next door. It was a completely different place than the normal hospitals, which were overflowing with casualties from the war. It was an idyllic garden, shut off from the despair of the outside world so that children could live in peace. That's where she'd met her mom. Mom, Mayuri Shina, was a Class 2 caregiver at the facility who was always very nice to her.
Really? You're gonna be my real mommy? Yep, that's right. Yay, mommy!
It's impossible to express with words how happy Kagari had felt. Being Mom's real daughter meant that Kagari had become her real name. Kagari had become Kagari Shina.
Hey, don't hug me so tight. You're so spoiled, Kagari. I can leave, right? I can live with you, right? I'm sorry. It looks like you need a little more treatment.
That's right.
Oh, doctor.
Kagari didn't know the doctor's name, but he was a nice old man who was always kind to her.
It's going to be another 6 months, and then it's over. You'll just have to hang in there until then.
6 months? When we talked about this before, you said 2 weeks.
I was referring to her physical wounds. The post-traumatic stress suffered by children during the Great Bombing of Tokyo far exceeds that of adults. And we learned at her exam yesterday that she's still having nightmares.
Is that true, Kagari? That's not true. I don't have nightmares anymore. It's all fun dreams. Fun.
Kagari, not good to lie. It'll only make your treatment take longer. You told me yesterday that you wake up with nightmares all the time still, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh my. I see.
It's proof that the memories of the bombing still exist in her mind as terrifying experiences. If we don't treat them properly, it could lead to irreversible consequences.
You're right.
So you don't mind if we continue with her treatment, do you, Mom?
Oh, of course. Kagari, let's do our best and beat the bad sickness, okay?
Mom rubbed her head. Kagari felt so at peace that she could cry.
Okay.
Yep, that's my girl.
Okay, see you later, Kagari. Mommy.
Mom took her hand away. and instead the doctor took Kagari's hand. She was taken to the usual room. There was a white reclining chair, and next to it some kind of mechanical system connected to a headset.
I can hear the same voice as always.
You need to protect your mother. Protect this world. That's why you were born.
She couldn't remember when she started hearing the voice. So that's the God's voice that she mentioned, the one that's telling her to not let the timeline be changed, to keep things as they are. Is it being implanted with like the Madius stuff or whatever? Why? But by the time she was 6, whenever she was worried or uncertain or in trouble, she could hear it. It was always kind and strong, and it always cheered her up. In Kagari's childish mind, she started to think it might be the voice of God. Since only she could hear it, everyone else said it was just an illness. But Mom was the one person who believed her.
I need to protect Mommy, so I need to work hard at my treatment.
Kagari's young heart was filled with the hope that she could someday live with Mom. Whoa. As soon as she opened the door, Kagari Shina was struck by an unpleasant wave of heat. It was early June, and this was the first day to hit summer temperatures. It was hot enough that just walking outside could cause you to sweat. But the small Japanese-style room had thick curtains and the windows were closed. The room was dark and cramped, and there were so many clothes on the floor there was no place to stand. It wasn't just clothes. There were all kinds of filthy things. Bags with half-eaten snack breads still in them. Half-rotted food packs. Plastic convenience store bags overflowing with trash. All scattered around the room. Moeka! And the area around the half-naked girl sitting against the wall was covered in bandages and gauze soaked with blood and pus. There were bandages tied around her exposed stomach, chest, and limbs, but these too were soaked with blood. The room was filled with a sickeningly sweet stench, though there was no way to know if it was coming from the garbage or coming from her. Moeka. The owner of the room, Moeka Kiryu, raised her head and looked at her, eyes filled with hope.
M4, you're still alive.
When she saw Kagari, who was still wearing her shoes as she came into the room, her shoulder slumped.
You're not FB. Who are you? That's an awful thing to say to the person who saved your life.
Moeka gave a painful cough and spit up some stomach fluid mixed with blood. It stained her thighs and the floor. Her wounds must have opened again because the bandages around her stomach began to turn red. She spent 5 months like this with no treatment from a doctor. Moeka had gone into a gunfight with the Russian army and failed her mission as a rounder. She lost 2 of her companions, and her target, Kurisu Makise's laptop, was also destroyed. They pinned the blame on her. She was wounded and almost killed. It was Kagari who saved her and brought her to this room. Damn. But if someone with a gunshot wound went to the hospital, the police would be notified. And for that reason, she never got any real treatment. Her wounds had become infected, and even 5 months later, they still brought her incredible pain. Her terrible fever hadn't let up at all, and it wasn't rare for it to go from 39 degrees to over 40 degrees. But Moeka didn't seem very interested in her wounds. She was more interested in sending messages with the phone in her hands. She must have been sending more messages to her beloved boss. In the past 5 months, she'd sent almost 1,000.
Why? FB, why won't you answer me?
FB was Moeka's boss in the Rounders. A woman who always gave orders to Moeka via text message. Moeka worshipped her to a degree that far exceeded what could occur within a normal employee relationship. The shock of being abandoned by FB had hurt her many times more than her actual wounds. Kagari tossed the bag she had slung over her shoulder at Moeka's feet. along with 2 plastic bags. The backpack was filled with medicine that wasn't available without a doctor's prescription. Along with it was a whole box of illegal drugs used only for the treatment of severe pain. Normally, these would be kept under strict control at a hospital where no normal person could get them. Both the plastic bags were filled with canned goods and other things that Kagari had chosen because they had the lowest probability of spoiling.
If you don't feel like living anymore, tell me. I'll bring you poison instead.
But Moeka didn't seem to notice Kagari at all anymore. She was completely unresponsive. Kagari had gotten used to her attitude over the last 5 months. She wasn't going to go home today. She wordlessly reached for Moeka's cell phone.
What are you doing?
Moeka tried to resist, but evidently she had no strength left. Kagari was easily able to grab the phone. It was covered in blood and pus, but Kagari forced it into her pocket without hesitation.
Give it back.
Moeka started crawling towards her. It was like something out of a zombie movie.
Don't get the wrong idea. You've got new orders from FB.
Moeka froze.
Orders from FB. Yeah, take it.
Kagari took another cell phone out of her pocket. It was the same Japanese cell phone that Moeka had been using, minus the dirt and bloodstains.
The phone you've been using is under surveillance by the Russians and Americans, so she can't use that. So from now on, your orders will come in via this.
Moeka reached a trembling hand out towards the phone. In an instant, she snatched it away and clutched it to her chest like it was her own child.
FB sent me messages if I have this phone. You should have some already.
Moeka quickly opened the screen on the phone. When she saw the words on the screen, tears started to flow down her face.
M4, my beloved daughter.
It must have been so hard for you. I know it was hard for me. Your failure was unfortunate, but I'm very glad you're alive. Get better and wait for my next message, okay? This time complete your mission successfully and regain my trust. I believe in you from the bottom of my heart. My beloved daughter from FB. I already read it. Yep.
You didn't need to read it out aloud.
Of course, this message wasn't from FB. Kagari had written it herself. Keep someone at the brink of death for 5 months, then give them exactly what they want as bait. And you can easily put anyone under your control. Kagari knew this well. The life suddenly returned to Moeka's face. She spilled out the contents of Kagari's backpack like a woman possessed.
I want to get better. I need to regain FB's trust. That's right, M4.
Kagari smiled, satisfied, and knelt down in front of her.
I'll treat you. Take off these bandages.
When Kagari left the apartment, the sun had set. She spent several hours treating Moeka's wounds. Her hands still smelled of medicine. It wouldn't go away for days, possibly. She sighed and put on her full-face motorcycle helmet, then went to the parking lot and got on her bike.
I wonder if I'll hear the voice of God soon.
She whispered. Hmm? She took off on her motorcycle. Hey, it's Okabe again. I still don't trust this. Even if it is technically not a bad ending, it's... If what I did is correct, then apparently this is the Mayuri ending. If what I did was correct. Doesn't mean I'm happy, though, because I'm still scared. This game hurts to play. In a strangely good way. It was almost July. The rainy season hadn't been that bad this year, and what little remained of it had already disappeared. Temperature-wise, summer had come a long time ago.
夏
Summer. In other words, it had been almost a year since it happened. And then one Saturday afternoon, if I stayed home, not only would it be hot, but Dad would be on my case about helping out the family business. A year ago, I could have gone to the lab, but with Suzuha living there now, I'd almost stopped going. Wait, hang on, is this the same? It's not the same, apparently, because it's not letting me skip. That meant it was hard to find a place to study on my days off. It was too much trouble to go to the university. And the classrooms probably weren't open on weekends anyway. After a lot of research, I'd settled on spending my free days visiting this cafe near my parents' home and spending a few hours there. In fact, a lot of other patients did the same thing I did, buying a single cup of coffee and sitting there for hours on end. Some brought books, some brought computers. I chuckled to myself as I realized that I'd joined the ranks of the other normies. Coffee! Where are you now? Usual cafe, right? Just went to your place and you weren't at home. You did? Did my dad make a nuisance of himself again? This seems to be the same, yeah. Okay, thank you. She went to my house. My family's business was called Okabe Greengrocer. It was a beat-up old store located in a rundown shopping street. The place was almost 4 years old. I really wanted them to rebuild it. Phew. The mind had wandered. Mary was going to be here in less than 15 minutes, so maybe it was time to call it a day. I worked pretty hard during the morning, so it wasn't too bad. I was a little surprised at how hard I'd been working lately. I could feel how having a goal gave me energy. I needed to get to Victor Condria University as soon as I could. Victor Condria University. I still keep trying to hit the skip button because I don't know, like... Again, this seems to be the same dialogue as the other path, just obviously different in some ways. I was still in contact with Maho via email and chat. She was evidently busy with her research because she was always sleepy. I took out my phone. I found myself looking for a certain icon on the home screen. But of course, I deleted it myself 6 months ago. Amadeus. Was Karisu doing well? Knowing her, she was probably coming up with some complicated theory or teasing Maho. It was also possible that she was visiting @channel and hiding it from Maho. @channel. That's right, Karisu had internet access. So it makes sense if she accessed @channel. But given that... Could Amadeus post on message boards? Karisu had spent a lot of effort last summer trying to argue with John Titor on @channel. That happened in the Alpha World line, though. Still, it meant that she was okay with posting. So there was a chance that Karisu was doing the same thing. If Amadeus had even temporary access to the network, then just maybe... I opened the web browser on my smartphone and without really expecting much, ran a search for a nickname I knew I'd never forget. Curry Gohan and Kamehameha. It was the handle that Karisu had once used. Whoa. I spoke without thinking. I bowed my head a little towards the other customers who were staring at me coldly and looked back at my smartphone. Amazingly, the search turned up several hundred results. They were all comments on @channel. I took a look at the dates on the results page. The oldest date back to 2008. Those must have been written by Karisu when she was alive. I never expected to see traces of her here. And wait, did she really post this much? I didn't realize she spent this much time on @channel. Her comments were spread out on a lot of different boards. Physics, mathematics, science fiction, and of course the occult boards. For example, in the science fiction thread, she had passionate discussions about time machines. But unlike in the Alpha World line, she never came out and denied the possibility of a time machine. Surprisingly, some of her comments seemed to be quite the opposite. No, I guess that's not surprising at all. After all, she'd gone through all the work required to write a paper on a time machine. Compared to that, her comments on the cult boards were brutal. She would absolutely crush the arguments of anyone who dared to propose anything even the least bit unscientific. Supernatural phenomenon like crop circles, poltergeists, and spontaneous human combustion. Out-of-place artifacts and the Mayan doomsday calendar. Conspiracy theories about how human DNA had been brought from another planet. She broke them down and refuted them with a cold thoroughness that even drove away her own side. And if anybody dared challenge her, she'd leave them flat on the canvas. Thanks, Kurisu. It was just like Kurisu. Her comments offered so little room for discussion, it was aggravating to read them. Did she actually enjoy all this occult stuff? She put enough energy into this that I couldn't help but wonder. This is just too much. First time I met her at last year's ATF, I gone through the same experience. But after a certain point, the Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha comments suddenly stopped. The cutoff date was July 27th of last year. The day Kurisu died. Her last comment was a slightly too heated response to someone who was mocking Dr. Nakabachi's time machine press conference. My chest tightened with the sensations of nostalgia and sorrow. I decided to close the browser. Then I stopped as soon as I saw her next comment. I brought the phone closer to my face and stared at it again and again. The day of the comment was December 1st, 2010. This can't be. Kurisu died in July 2010. So this couldn't possibly be her. So who was it? Was it someone else who'd taken over the identity of Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha? Or was it... Since there was no trip code, I couldn't tell for certain. December 1st was just after Maho and Dr. Luskin had come to Japan, and also about the time I encountered Kurisu. An encoded string of characters that appears next to a name on the @channel message board. By entering your name as name, number, some word, you can cause some word to appear in an encrypted form. Okay. After that, Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha commented about a rate of once per week. I looked for the most recent comment. Wait, that's last night! It was a discussion about relativity theory. She really did get foul-mouthed when she was on the @channel. Kuri Gohan Kamehameha, so you're one of those people who thinks that the Michelson-Morley experiment led to the development of relativity theory. No wonder you weren't making any sense. Go back to grade school. Lol. Oh, no point in even talking to you. Thanks, Kurisu. But then I realized that she said the same thing to me face to face. If this wasn't some imposter, if this really was Kurisu, what a miraculous and yet stupid story. Did Maho and Dr. Luskin know about this, I wonder? Probably not. Kurisu wasn't going to tell them. I couldn't help but laugh. Should I try to make contact with her? I wanted to see if this Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha really was Kurisu. And then I came up with a good handle. It's Larry's neighbor. Of course, this was a knockoff of Maho's ID. If Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha really was Kurisu, she'd have to notice it, right? Okay. I thought I smelled a moron. It's true that the original purpose of the experiment was only to prove the existence of ether, but you can't deny that it helped Einstein. As a result, you can say that it formed the base of his theory. Someone needs to go back to school and it ain't me. And there, it's posted. How about that? I wrote something deliberately provocative. Yeah, more importantly, I mixed in some mistakes. Not to brag, but I thought I knew a lot more about Kurisu than Mao did. If it is Kurisu, this will fish her right in. The act of catching fish also refers to deliberately provoking someone on an anonymous internet message board or typing in deliberately false information and enjoying the angry response. Mayuri jump scary.
Oh, green.
At some point, Mayuri had walked up in front of me. Oh, you're here already. I've been so busy writing my comment that I hadn't noticed. I'm still scared. Something's gonna go wrong. I can already tell you. things are still gonna go bad. It's this.
My chest.
I hurriedly put the phone away and stood up.
じゃ
Okay, ready to go? What's
あ
wrong?
どうした？
Nothing. Let's go.
Mary and I left the cafe. Mary and I met up and headed for Tokyo Hands. Still the same. When I stepped inside the air-conditioned store, I felt refreshed. If it was this hot in June, I shuddered to think what it was going to be like in July or August.
それで
So, what are you gonna
一
buy?
体何を買うつもり？
We're gonna make some signs for advertising, so I need poster board and highlighters and stuff.
今年はコ
Are
ミ
you
マ
gonna
で
put
同
out
人誌で
a
も
book at this year's Kamima?
Nope, it's for Okabe Green Grocer.
Huh? What did you
なんだ
say?
って？
My family business.
When I went to your house today, I talked to your dad about it. And I said that Mayushi would help make them for him.
Wait, seriously? My dad could be such a jerk.
お前がそんなことする必要
There's really no need you have to do that.
But Mayushi wants to do it.
本当に
You sure?
Your mom and dad are always so nice to me.
Okay, I'll get you something as a thank you
代わり
present
に
then.
今度何かプレ
Really? That makes me so happy.
I took a quick look around and saw that they were selling a lot of things that you could use for advertising. I decided to mostly leave the purchasing decisions up to Mayuri. She spent quite a while deciding what to buy. But, well, maybe because of all the time she spent at May Queen Yan Squared, her taste ran in the direction of cute and anime.
Hey, don't you think this heart shape is cute?
野菜や果
How are you
物
going to use a heart shape to sell fruits and
ハート
vegetables?
型なんてどう使う？
Hmm? Well, how about this? Mr. Matsutake is thick and sturdy. Why not make him take him home tonight, ma'am? Or maybe try my juicy ripe melons.
Don't say that.
お前
Dara didn't brainwash you while I wasn't looking, did he? Mayuri. Use of violent methods to forcibly change someone's thoughts or ideology. Violence in this case can refer to physical methods, imprisonment, threats, physical pain, drug injection, etc., or psychological ones, implanting a feeling of guilt, using verbal abuse. It offers a more powerful method of changing a person's mentality than mind control.
ダルにせん
Huh?
ああいや
No, never mind.
なんでもない
Mayuri looked confused and completely oblivious. Thanks, Mayuri.
とにかく
Anyway, no heart shapes. It'll look like we're up to something we shouldn't be.
怪しい店に見えてしまう
Really? I think it's cute.
可愛くなって
It doesn't have to be cute. That's what I'm trying to say. My original intentions not to interfere had gone by the wayside.
そもそも
And anyway, if you buy any more than this, you're gonna have extras. My shopping cart was filled with cardstock of various colors and shapes.
これだけあれば
This will last us a long
困
time.
らないだろ
You're right. Okay, let's go then.
We went to the cash register to check out. But since it was a Saturday, the checkout area was overflowing with shopping carts. Since it was going to take a while, I sent Mayuri to browse the toy section on another floor. I knew they'd have some stuff up from one of her favorite shows, right at Kakaru. Mayuri looked apologetic, but did what I told her to. It'll be fine. In the end, I waited a whole 15 minutes at the register. As an apology, I decided to get the present I'd promised her. She seemed really happy as she stared at the keychain.
You. The demon Upa. The bringer of chaos. The mastermind of mischief and malevolence and mayhem. The bringer of bad times. The summoner of sadness. The creator of craziness.
I told her when she went over to the toy section she could pick out anything she wanted, and this was what she chose.
ウーパなら
You seem pretty happy about that, given how many Upas you already have.
嬉しそうだしかもそれって
And that's a regular green Upa, right? Not the rare one.
レアなのは
The rare one. Do you mean the middle Upa? The most popular and rarest of the Upas was the shiny silver metal Upa, and the one that caused World War III. For example, whenever there was a lottery for Rainet Kakaru stuff at the convenience stores, the top prize was always a metal Upa. Myri had told me once that they had sold for tens of thousands of yen at an auction. For some reason, Myri was wagging her finger at me.
Nope. This is a green Upa, but not a regular one. This is a green Upa, fairy Upa that was in the movie that they just released.
Which I'm pretty sure you're about to try and spoil me, right? I'm thinking there had been a Rainet Kakaru movie now in the spring. I'm already soon sat in a theater full of kids to watch it. The Green Fairy. It's okay if I spoil the movie. Okay, we're just gonna skip through this because we saw this before. Fairies live, a hacker, fairies come save them. Turns out fairies were in the flower garden they always took care of. Virtual world. Green Fairy's really cute and strong. Myri's style is so great. Rex genius. I see. It was rare for Myri to get this excited about something. I took a closer look and saw that the design was a little different from the standard Upa. I didn't know a lot about Upa, so I couldn't say exactly what was different.
I've actually been spending a lot of time looking for this keychain. It's really popular, so it's sold out everywhere. I never would have thought Hands would have one.
You're pretty lucky, huh? And then we're gonna get a text message about Buki, right?
Yep, it was the last one.
Or rather, Mayuri's gonna get the text message about Fubuki.
I'm glad I came today. I need to thank you and your dad.
Mari took the tag off the keychain, got her house key out of a bag, and carefully attached it.
Halo Green, I wish you will treasure this forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, please do. Make sure you don't lose it 5 minutes after you get it and start a fourth world war. It happened before, after all. Like the metal loop I had won for at the radio building. Mary had lost it no more than 5 minutes after I gave it to her. I wonder if she had ever found it. I didn't really want to remember that time in my life, so my memory of what happened to the metal Upa was vague.
I'm never gonna lose it again.
The two of us started to head back.
No work hard to make the ads for your shop, okay?
Oh yeah, you still gotta do that. I've been thinking the job was done once we brought the materials. The real work actually began now. Should I help too?
No, I'm fine. Believe in my Yushi.
I'm a little worried after you tried to buy heart-shaped cardstock.
It's fine.
Well, it's nice of you to make them at all, so I won't complain.
Oh, I need to call Mom. I'll tell her that I'll be home for dinner.
Why not eat at my place? I'm sure either Mom or Dad will try to get you to stay anyway.
Oh no. Are you going to stay at home and the rest of the day today? You won't go to any single parties?
I haven't been to any lately. Last fall, when I've been trying to become a normal college student, I'd forced myself to go as many as possible. But lately I've been so busy with my studies that I hadn't had a chance.
I see. Then maybe I will.
I already took out her phone and started to type something when... Yep, here we go. Her expression suddenly darkened. She stopped moving. What's wrong?
I got a message from Kaede. I didn't notice it. What should I do, Ocarine?
My eyes seemed like she was on the verge of tears. Did something happen?
Hey, Ocarine. You told me before that Fubuki's not sick, right?
Fubuki? You mean Nakase? Not Kuroshima, right?
Yes, is that true? She's really not sick?
Yeah, I don't think so.
But...
Myra, show me your phone. Here's the location. Yep, here we go again. Back in the hospital? I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the screen. Now, something that I am a bit confused on right now is... there's already some major differences, but this is kind of going the same way as last time on the bad ending, but there is some differences. Big things of note. We didn't get to see the whole thing with Maho and Leskinen, where Leskinen shows his true colors and Maho gets, like, taken control of, I guess. And we don't have Amadeus. So, what's gonna happen here is he still gonna appear or whatever? did all the stuff that happened in the bad ending, like the whole thing with Leskinen and Maho, did it still happen in this timeline? But with the only difference being that, friggin' you don't see it this time? But it's supposedly one of Japan's most advanced hospitals. According to what I'd read on the internet, patients with the new encephalitis that everyone was talking about were being gathered here for special treatment. But I also read lots of really bad urban legends about the place, and I was a bit worried about what kind of horror show I'd find here. Of course, when we arrived, it was nothing like that. It was very clean, decorated like a luxury hotel. Here's these two. Yeah, this is the same so far. Again, only difference is the small things here and there, but... Well, I say small. They're not small. Yuki had gotten a message from Kaede as well, and had it evidently come right over.
Where's Fubuki? She's fine.
Yuki gave Mayuri a soft hug and a smile. Kaede bowed her head apologetically.
Sorry to scare you. I was kind of in a hurry myself. I should have checked more carefully before I messaged you.
What do you mean? How's Nakase doing?
I just spent her mom in the hospital room, and it doesn't look like her illness has gotten any worse.
Then they just brought her here for some more examinations or something? No, they're using them for information, right? I'm scared. Nothing to worry about. So glad. Again, this all seems to be the same. I can't skip it, can I? If I remembered right, the last time they examined her, they said it was possible she had the disease, but as long as it didn't get worse, it wouldn't affect her daily life. Again, this is the exact same. New encephalitis arrived in Japan over 6 months ago, but the number of patients was still increasing. Tell you what, because I can't skip it, but I'm almost positive that it's the same dialogue, I'm just gonna, like, blah, 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 blah. I'm just gonna, like speed skim through it all, and just not, like, do any voices. But if I notice that anything starts, like, looking explicitly different, then I'll start going back to normal voicing and stuff. Because, again, if this is all the same, then I don't want to just, like, you know, be rereading the whole thing all over again, again and again and again, because we'll be here all day if we do that. Fortunately, there hasn't been a single casualty yet. Pretty sure that's no illness, though. I'm pretty certain it's some call similar to being Steiner. Carton. Went to Fubuki Hospital. I secretly investigated. Wasn't able to get any proof, but I found most of the patients in the wing had very egregious memories of the same world line. Many people have memories of Japan at war. Again, this all seems to be the exact same as in the bad ending. Can you see the Fubuki? They say they're doing an MRI right to look at her brain right now, so she's not in the room.
I see. We'll be done soon. Fubuki's mom told us to wait here.
Kaede motioned Mayuri and saying she sit down on a nearby sofa.
Once the exam is done, she's going to come with us. Get us.
I let the girl sit down on the sofa and stood next to them while I surveyed the lobby. And this is when...
This is an amazing hospital, isn't it?
This is different. This is different. We normally would have seen Leskinen by now, wouldn't we? But he's not here. Pretty sure we would have seen Dr. Leskinen and another doctor coming in, start talking with each other. That's not happening here, though.
This is an amazing hospital, isn't it?
Yeah. Is Nakase's family really rich or something? If she's staying in a place that... Wait, maybe this is the same. Hang on.
No, that's not it.
Wait, this is the same. Hang on, I was wrong. I see. I wasn't sure how I felt about that. If I was right about this disease really was, I had a hard time imagining. Oh, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. Sorry. Or they may open rooms. You do it. Patients talk to each other. They'll start to share dreams. That's true, but once a person and hears blah blah blah. Hey, Lynn. Across the lobby, I saw an old Japanese doctor in a white coat, and a big man in a suit was frantically trying to talk to him. Oh, I'd seen the man in the suit before. Actually, it was a man I knew well. Betrayer! Scoundrel! I hurried over. Dr. Leskinen, it's me, Okabe. He must have been wearing his translator because he was communicating with the old doctor in Japanese. Dr. Leskinen's face quickly broke into a smile when he saw me. Oh, Rintaro! His voice was so loud that everybody in the lobby, and then he threw me across the room. Ooh. Help. My cries went unheard as he tackled me and pulled me up. He switched from football player to pro wrestler and did a pile driver suplex. Nothing I could do to resist. A moment later, he finally noticed the cold stares, finally released me. Oh my, I'm sorry. I was so surprised I got a little too excited. I feel like things regarding this guy is going to be different. Dr. Leskinen bowed to the people around him in apology. Dr. Leskinen, who is this young man? The doctor that Professor Leskinen had been talking to was staring at me suspiciously. Oh, well, I wasn't sure exactly what to tell him. It wasn't like he was really my professor. You seem to be a student. What school are you with? If you're studying brain science like a professor? No, He'll be a student at Victor Condry this September. I'm planning on having him come to visit my lab. Huh? I see. Victor Condry University, huh? That's a surprise. I looked over at Dr. Leskinen questioningly, but he just gave him a mischievous smile. This guy. He really was such a kid. And a betrayer. Schemer. Villain. Evil. Thanks. After the doctor left, I sighed loudly enough for Professor Leskinen to hear me. So, who was that guy? The director of this hospital. The director? You just told a lie to someone that important? Oh, did I lie? I said you'd be a student starting in September, but I didn't mean this September. Oh, what? Do you think you don't have what it takes to make it to my school again? That's a little unfortunate, but I don't want to go to your school anymore. I don't wish to exist with you. I don't want Can I go back?
No.
He really was like a little kid, completely shameless. But still, it was hard to hate him. I'm surprised though, I had no idea you were in Japan. It had been 5 months since I'd seen him off at Narita. I looked around for Maho, but I didn't see her anywhere. Again, I don't know if in this timeline, if in this ending, again, I don't know if the whole scene where Maho gets like taken and brainwashed by friggin' why can I not remember his name for a second? Leskinen. I forgot his name for a second, even though I was looking directly at him. I don't know if the scene where Leskinen brainwashes Maho, I don't know if it's technically taken place during this ending. We didn't see it, but just because we didn't see it doesn't mean it couldn't happen. It's left it up to potential of it could have happened, but there's also a chance it could not have happened. There is the fact that we don't have Amadeus either. I can't speak. App gone. So again, I don't know. It could be, it could not be. I could believe both. The point that I'm trying to make though is that I don't trust this man for a second, and I don't know if I trust Maho for a second. Although... There's one more thing that I'm thinking of though, which is the whole, Leskinen kidnapping us. It was done, like, Leskinen kidnapped us with Maho by having us speak to Maho about what happened in the Alpha World line. But technically speaking, we've already talked to Maho about all the things that happened in the Alpha World line. We've already told her all that. So let's say, for example, for the sake of the argument, let's say that the scene where Maho gets brainwashed by, or just gets controlled by Leskinen, let's say it does happen in this ending, and we just don't see it. In that case, will she just, like, randomly appear and take us when we're alone? Because she doesn't have to wait for us to talk, because she already has the information knowing what happens with the Alpha World line. I don't know. It's weird to think about, but I'm sure we'll see it eventually. Oh, you're not feeling well, Intaro. Did you come here for treatment? Oh, I'm not here. Oh no, I'm here to... I'm not here. Yeah, I don't want to be. I'm here to visit a friend. Oh, I see. That's good. Well, it's not good for your friend. I'm sorry. Oh, no. So, what are you doing at the Japanese hospital? Dr. Leskinen brought his face close to mine and whispered so that the people around us couldn't hear him. You heard about the new encephalitis cases, right? The American government asked our psychophysiology lab to look into it, but they've hit a roadblock. The university ordered me to help with the investigation. I see. So you're helping with the new encephalitis cases. Now, there was a word I didn't expect to hear. I explained that my friend was here because they thought she might have the disease. Is your friend named Katsumi Nakase, perhaps? Oh, yeah. You met her at the Christmas party, didn't you? That's right. My interest in this new disease started with the party, you see. Both you and Katsumi collapsed, right? He was right, actually. In my case, I'd been sent to the other world line. I met up with her again several days ago. She demanded to know why she was being sent back to the hospital when she was just fine. I see. Would you tell her it would make me happy if she was a bit more cooperative? Huh. I actually feel really bad for both her and all the other patients. We in the Japanese team are doing what we can, but we don't understand the results that we're getting. Dr. Leston's usually chipper expression darkened. The man was such a ball of vitality that I hadn't noticed until then, but when his smile disappeared, I could see the wrinkles that had formed on his face from exhaustion. He must have been working hard, like he said. To be honest, none of the doctors thought we'd have this much trouble explaining it at the start. What's wrong, Lentalo? Well... Is there something wrong? No. I'm not a medical student, so this is all outside my expertise. I was just about to tell him about my reading Steiner, but in the end, I couldn't. If my uninformed opinion was wrong, it could cost me the encephalitis patients their lives. I couldn't just tell him when I didn't have any proof. And then his face drew close to mine again. By the way, Katsumi was saying something very interesting. She said something about not being sick, about how she was actually experiencing another world in her dreams. I told her not to say anything about it. Could she not help it? This was bad. They might start to doubt her sanity. Well, Nagase's got a very vivid imagination, maybe? She loves sci-fi and anime. She probably just said that she has the power to experience parallel worlds because she saw in some show somewhere. I remember that I used to say stuff like that. I tried my best to come up with excuses, but Dr. Leskinen still seemed concerned. But still, I was really surprised when I started participating in the treatment project. One of the strange things about this illness is that many patients share the same dreams. I'm assuming it's similar to a mass hallucination. But what do you think? I've never seen this before. From a brain scientist's perspective, I just don't have the right answer. To be honest, unscientific is the word that seems to best fit. Like parallel worlds or memories of a past life, you know? I see. It would help if you talked to Katsumi too. There are some things that you can't say to a doctor, but that you'll tell your friends. Sure, I'll ask her, I guess. So, Lentalo, that aside, I have a question for you. Dr. Leskinen was looking over my shoulder. I got a sense of this at the Christmas party, but your girlfriends are really out cute over there, aren't they? Shut up, old man. They're friends. Leave my friends alone. Maybe Katsumi? So surprising, I couldn't think of anything to say. Ma would often call this middle-aged man a mischievous boy, and that was exactly the look he had on his face. No, I won't force you to tell me. I don't want to pry into your private life. But, well, I'd hope to have something to tell my favorite student. What? Dr. Leston turned to walk away before I could figure out what he meant. Alright, Lentalo. I've got to talk to the director a little more, so I'll be going. I'd love to go around to all those girls and give them a hug too, but I'll save that for next time. Tell them I said hello. Oh, sure. Myri and the others came over to me as I watched him go.
Was that Dr. Leskinen? Yeah, I knew I'd seen him somewhere before. I thought he'd gone back to America. A cream?
There was no way I could tell the girls what Dr. Leston and I were just talking about. After Fubuki's exam was over, we went to her room and listened to her complain, and then the visit was over. Just like Dr. Luskin had said, she looked just fine. She told us she was ready to leave the hospital and jog all the way home. Mary and the others were relieved, but I felt worried. Did I need to talk to Dr. Luskin about reading Steiner after all? How would I explain it? It might just be a better idea to talk to Maho and have her explain it to him. Couldn't come to an answer right away. We said goodbye to Kaede and Yuki at one of the stations on the way back. Before we got to Ikebukuro, I remembered to take out my phone and open the web browser. I went to the at channel, eager to see how she responds to the bait I'd spread after this afternoon. Oh, so this is definitely different. I put my right hand over my mouth to stifle the noise. Mayuri had been standing next to me, and she was leaning over at my screen. Curry, Gohan, and Kamehameha. It was Fitzgerald and Lorentz who based their hypothesis off that experiment. Einstein himself said that had nothing to do with his theories. You don't even know that? How ignorant are you, WWW? I fished her up, alright. I didn't think it would go this well. The timestamp was from just 30 minutes ago. I decided to respond immediately using the same name as Larry's neighbor. You're the ignorant one. In a letter written before his death, Einstein said that he was aware of Michelson and Morley's experiment. I posted and then reloaded the thread. There's already a response from her. I know that, duh. All he said was that he knew of the experiment. Obviously, Einstein used the experiment, and timeline between the posts was just 21 seconds. I need to remember. What are the controls for this game again? How do I... Backspace. Einstein used the Fizeau experiment and stellar aberration to come up with the new theory of relativity. It was kind of irritating to have her come after me so hard. It was as if she was insulting me as a person. Well, I was the one who deliberately ran in mistakes, so I should have expected it. Can't let anyone else win, can you? I see you haven't changed a bit. Are you Mozart? The thread's other residents were probably confused, everyone except for her. Mary had been watching our exchange and looked at me confused. Regular users of this service primarily refers to frequent commenters on anonymous internet message boards.
Do you know this Curry Gohan Kamehameha person?
Yeah, they're someone I've known for a long time, I think. Now then, how would she reply to the nickname Solari's neighbor and post I just wrote? I was curious, but there wasn't an immediate response like before. The train reached Ikebukuro station.
Okay, we're here.
The train slid into the station and stopped. I reloaded the thread one more time before the doors opened, and there was a very short response from Curry, Gohan, and Kamehameha. Who are you? There could be no doubt now. This Curry, Gohan, and Kamehameha was Kurisu. Was this a good idea? I don't think this was a good idea. Why are we here? I'm scared. It was a very hot day in 1998 when Sua said goodbye to Kagari Shina. She'd gone to get food and water from a local store, and when she come back and opened the hatch, Kagari was inside screaming. I'm scared up.
How does this stupid thing work?
Hello. She looked inside and saw that Kagari was slamming her tiny hands down on the control console. What are you doing? Kagari shrank back when she saw Suzuha.
I'm not. This is not what it looks like.
Answer me.
But I woke up and you were gone. It was dark and the lights went to on. It's so cramped and scary in here. I tried to open the door. And I was filling with it. This happened.
Kagari started to cry. This seems to be the same too.
I'm sorry, Big Sis Sua. I'm sorry, but I was really scared.
I see. Yeah, this seems to be the same. Suzuha relaxed her guard. Kagari had PTSD from her time as a war orphan, and she hadn't fully recovered yet. Mari had once told her that she got very frightened in the dark, cramped places. It makes sense if waking up in the dark caused a panic attack. And the time machine could only function with Suzua's biometric authorization. Someone of Kagari's size wouldn't be able to break the console either. You passed out from the shock of time travel, so I wanted to let you get some rest. I'm sorry. Suzua grabbed one of Kagari's tiny hands to help her up, and then let her outside the machine.
So hot.
Kagari, promise me that you won't touch the switches on the control console no matter what, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to get started. You go and rest. Have some food and water if you want. Suzua handed Kagari the provisions she'd bought, then went inside and poked her head into the cargo space under the control console. She connected the IBM 5100 she'd stored there to the portable terminal she brought from the future. By all appearances, it was an early 2000s cell phone, but inside it was a miniaturized quantum computer from the year 2036. Of course, future Dara made it himself. When she booted up the IBM 5100, rows of numbers started to appear on the screen.
What are you doing?
And this is going to be where she shoots the thing. Kagari was looking in from the outside of the machine.
Did you study the year 2000 problem? Study a little at the orphanage, and nothing happened, right?
That's what everybody thinks. It was made public, but at the time, a lot of places and a lot of countries had serious problems because of it.
Really?
The issue was this computer, the IBM 5100. It's got an old programming language on it, and the engineers weren't able to fix the program. In fact, they didn't even know that an important program existed that was written in this language. The race developed the time machine was the beginning of the Third World War, but there was a chance that something that happened during the year 2000 problems and the divisions that resulted from that were the deeper cause. She didn't expect a 10-year-old like Kagari to understand this, but she didn't feel like taking the time to explain. In the year 2000 is a special year, you see. All the world lines temporarily converge here. This means that it's possible the year 2000 problem has a huge effect on all the world lines. The world line in the gap that we're trying to reach, Steins is no exception. Again, I can't skip it. I'm surprised I can't skip this, considering it seems 1-to-1 so far. She looked down at the terminal connected to the IBM 5100. So this is a patch program to keep the year 2000 problem from ever happening. Right now, the terminal was converting the patch into the language used by the IBM 5100. The next step was to spread the program all around the world in the form of a virus, and the year 2000 problems that this era's engineers missed would completely disappear. The word connect appeared at the terminal's subscreen. Okay, it's connected. She'd been told that in Japan in this era, ADSL was still in the test phase, and most normal users connected to the internet by low-speed dial-up using ISDN. Okay, this is different. Wait, what's going on? Integrated Services Digital Network, a completely digital network that used digital exchanges, relays, and subscriber lines. It was far faster than the analog lines that were originally used by the dial-up internet services, but use massively decreased after the introduction of the faster ADSL. ADSL, asymmetric digital subscriber line, a type of internet connection. ADSL uses telephone lines for high-speed data transmission. In the early 2000s, these quickly replaced ISDN as the de facto method of connecting to the internet. But in the later part of the decade, FTTH services using fiber optics became more popular, and the number of ADSL users has declined ever since. Emakita Industries, Netsling. It's used to mean I just joined this thread and I'm not sure what's going on. Can someone explain it to me in 3 lines or less? A play on the Japanese words Imakita Sangyo, which can mean either I just got here, give me 3 lines, or Imakita Industries. In major city areas like Akihabara, universities, labs, and some big computer companies, we're starting to use fiber optic broadband, and some of these were even using wireless LANs. Suzua cracked her way into one of these. Dad had laughed when he said that with 2036 technology, cracking late 20th century network security was a joke, but he'd been right.
But if you change the future, won't that change the world we're in?
Surprisingly, Kagari had gotten the gist of what Suzua had just told her. That's right. I refuse to let that world exist any longer, so I've come here to reach Steins Gate. And this is where God's voice starts talking to her. Suddenly, the uneasy look on Kagari's face vanished. It was as if her soul had left its body. Suddenly her face was expressionless, and her eyes were wide.
Voice. I can hear God's voice. Kagari? You can't do it. Not right. You can't do that, Big Setsua. Can't.
Huh? Kagari was acting strangely. Suspiciously, Suzuha reached out her hand out towards her, but angry. She slipped past Suzuha's hand, and quicker than any child should be able to move, she slammed her shoulder straight into Suzuha's body. Oh boy. Suzuha was caught completely off guard. That's how fast it was. Kagari's shoulder hit her in the solar plexus. She bent over and collapsed onto the seat. Kagari tore the terminal out of Suzuha's hands. The cables connecting it to the IBM 5100 were ripping out, and errors displayed on both screens.
What are you doing?
Kagari didn't answer the question. Instead, she grabbed the backpack that Suzuha had placed on the seat and spilled its contents onto the floor. There were MREs, spare parts, clothes, and a semi-automatic pistol. Suzuha couldn't believe it. Kagari was going to try and pick it up.
Stop it!
She forced herself to ignore the pain as she jumped on Kagari's body. Whee! But another unbelievably powerful body slam knocked her back. Gun. Something cold was pushed right up against her brow.
Don't move.
Kagari's tiny hands weren't shaking at all as they clutched the semi-automatic pistol. In the space of an instant, the safety on the gun had been flipped off. That's when Suzuha realized that this wasn't just a temper tantrum. Suzuha was the one who taught her how to use a gun. That's why she knew that Kagari was perfectly calm.
Are you insane? Put the gun down, now! Stop doing this! You're the one who needs to stop. What? You can't change the world. You're not making sense.
There was no hesitation in her eyes. Instead, Suzuha saw only resolve.
You want the war to happen then? I don't know anything about that. I just want to go back to my old world. Then that's never going to happen. We've already used the time machine to interfere with the past. The world line's changed. There's almost no chance that we can go back. Shut up! You can't rate this world. I won't let you.
Kagari turned the gun towards the IBM 5100.
Stop!
Fire! Before Suzuha could stop her, she yanked down on the trigger. Again and again.
Stop it, Kagari! Please stop!
And then Kagari jumped out of the time machine, and Suzuha never saw her again. Are we gonna have the same scene as earlier? I still can't skip it, which is surprising. Every night that passed, she remembered Kagari. Suzuha had spent some time looking for Kagari when she'd first come to this era, but in the end, she never found anything. But Kagari Shina, who is now 22 years old, was here in Akihabara. Suzuha was sure of it.
Oh,
Maho-tan! Hey, hey! Wait, Maho? Wait, what? Utaro was sitting at the computer next to Suzuha and talking into his monitor. The monitor was displaying a video chat screen. On the screen was a young girl dressed in slovenly fashion. No, proper, fully grown lady. What the?
Sorry.
What happened? What the hell happened? It was 8:03 p.m. at the Future Gadget Lab in Akihabara. Meanwhile, Victor Condrey was an hour off from the usual due to daylight savings time, and it was 7:03 a.m. So wait, is she not in America then? Wait, then things might actually be better. I hesitate. Hang on, no. Well, actually, maybe. Because Mao's not here, meaning that... Well, at the very least, Maho's not going to be involved in trying to kidnap us or kill us. I don't think. In this timeline, hopefully, ideally. I'm kind of happy to see this then, because it means that there's potential that maybe she'll be fine. She won't get brainwashed, or maybe she hasn't been, because she's still in the USA.
Hyajo, are you okay?
It's early. She probably just got up.
Ma was a mess. Her hair was never combed right, but her eyes were bloodshot and her gaze was wandering. Whoopsie. The spots under her eyes were too dark for the little bit of makeup she'd applied to cover them up. Her cheeks were sunken, which made her look even tinier than usual. On top of all that, her skin was terribly pale. She looked like something out of a zombie movie.
I need Mao-tan for a win.
Daru, not now. Normally, she would have gone upset at Itaro's joke. Whether she hadn't gotten used to it or simply given up because she said nothing.
How are things going over there?
I've managed to rebuild it to how it was before Okabe took it apart. I think it does most of what it did before.
Don't... Wait, no. Stop. Taro glanced towards the development room past the curtain in the back of the lab. Don't tell me. Daru! No! Stop! What are you doing? Right now he was working with Mao to recreate what Okabe had called the time leap machine. What the hell are you doing?
It's not going well.
Destroy it! Burn it! Bomb it! That thing shouldn't exist!
Yeah, it's just not stable. It ends up being a normal microwave.
I see. I wonder what's wrong with it.
If we could ask Ocarina, I'm sure things would be different.
We can't do that. He'd get really mad at us if he even knew we were working on this.
Yeah, no shit! Stop it!
Uncle's afraid. He's afraid of the power of the world line convergence. It won't be easy to convince him.
In fact, it had almost been a year since she'd first tried and failed. There was a moment of silence.
Wait, Mao-tan, are you asleep?
Why is Suzuha so scared too? Mao's whole body jerked and she almost fell out of her chair. Fear. Why is Suzuha scared?
That's close. I almost went back to bed before I left for work.
You know, you're working too hard. If you get sick, you'll only slow us down, you know.
I'm fine. And actually, after all this work, I'm still not as good as the real genius.
I don't think so. You know, I think you're a genius.
I'll need you to make me feel better. I've got all these hints about the time leap machine that Okabe told me about, and I still can't find the answer. How did she manage to compress all that memory data and send it to the past? Kreese managed to do it, but
Mao seemed upset. It was obvious even though through the monitor.
Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't the time to complain, is it? Is there anything else to report for today? If not, I'm going to head to work. There's one more thing.
Suzuha looked at Itaru.
About what you asked me to look into.
Did you find something? Not clear. Nothing clear. Yet. I see.
I've done some breaking and entering to a bunch of networks and taking things as far as it's safe to do so.
I'm not blaming you. Just tell me what you know.
No, if you want to start screaming insults, I don't mind that at all.
Dad? Hurry, I'm running out of time.
Sure, sure.
Itaru opened a different window on the monitor. He displayed one of the text files in it. It was a record of the information Itaru and Suzuha had collected.
First, the incident where you were attacked in the hotel basement. The cops say it was some kind of crazy cultist on a drug trip. But that's definitely a lie.
A lie?
Just like the police announcement said, he was an assistant professor at college. And that's fine, but I can't find anything linking him to a cult at all. I tried accessing public safety secret data file on the cult too, so I'm certain of it.
So they're lying.
If you look at that channel, you'll sometimes see people who look like they're from a cult, claiming that they're innocent, and I didn't even read my lights. Claiming that they're innocent and that the whole thing's a conspiracy. Whenever that happens, the haters show up instantly and they beat the daylights out of the guy. A one-sided battle in which the target gets the daylights beaten out of them. People on the internet with a negative opinion about a certain person or thing. They'll go wherever fans of that person or thing gather and deliberately write things to provoke them. They often get into heated debates with fans. And the haters always have this really well-made fake evidence, digitally altered images and stuff. There's no way that's a coincidence.
Really? I don't know a lot about this ad channel thing.
Most of the big sites have agents on them, including that channel. And they get paid like it's a business, so they do it 24 hours a day from morning till night.
Information control. Propaganda. Advertisement for a specific ideology, primarily used for political and religious purposes, propaganda has been around since the time of the Roman Empire, beginning in the 20th century, particularly after the end of the Second World War. Its methods have become more insidious. One example of this new propaganda would be attempts to manipulate public opinion via mass media. Propaganda advertisements are not always true, and the most obvious of them include lies or slander towards their targets if it's to their wielder's advantage. Okay.
Politicians and bureaucrats use them to influence public opinion on the net. There are even companies that specialize in this sort of thing.
I see. I can understand that. America has the same thing.
These agents can change their IP, but they can't hide from me.
Officially, Internet Protocol. However, the term IP is often mistakenly used to describe an IP address. An IP address is essentially an ID number given to a computer to allow it to exchange information via the internet or LAN. The Internet Protocol is the methods and standards used to exchange that information.
So I did some research, and there's an insane amount of agents inside of the case. It's to the point where I have no idea where the money you pay them is coming from.
I see. What about the attack on your workplace, Dad?
Same deal.
Yeah. The police had called it a fight between foreign mafias trying to expand their territory in Japan. Yeah. Ah yes, Russia. The Russian military, a mafia. The biker gang mafia. Like the biker suit wearing gang mafia. And random civilian mafia.
Yes.
Mia never questioned the story at all, and even people on the boards of the famously skeptical At channel believed everything they were told. Of course, there was no mention whatsoever of Russia or CERN. Of course not.
So I decided to post a thread where I pretended to be a witness and said I saw some Russian special forces. And well, was I amazed. Talk about some serious child trolling. I got pissed enough that I almost talked the agent's real name, his company name, and everything else.
Daru. Maybe later, not now. Evidently, he'd been really irritated. It was rare for Itaru to get so angry. Or maybe it wasn't, she decided.
In other words, pressure came down from somewhere to shut down discussion. That's Japan for you, a real free country.
America's no different, is it?
You got that right.
The two of them smiled at the joke.
Anyway, that's all I can do.
I see. That's enough. Thank you. Kyajo, think you can get permission from the lab to come to Japan? Well, I keep sending requests to go as Dr. Leskinen's assistant, but they keep turning them down. Dr. Leskinen's here now, right? Yeah, he's researching the new encephalitis.
Since it had nothing to do with the artificial intelligence, it seemed Maho wouldn't be allowed to go along.
That's fine. If they keep turning me down, I've got ideas of my own. What are you gonna do?
Don't tell me you're gonna defy your superior's officer's orders to drop the case, and then you'll get caught by the officer. That's not an hentai for. Hey, Miles, hey, kill me in as frustrated voice as possible. Huh? Dad. Suzuha's hand went for her back pocket. Sorry. That's a little bit of an extreme reaction, Suzuha. Come on. I know he needs to shut up, but at the very least, throw him out the window. Don't shoot him. Itaro's shoulders slumped as he apologized. You can throw him out the window. Don't shoot him, though, please. At least she'd been able to put a stop to Itaro's terrible jokes just by doing that. She wasn't sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing that she knew exactly how to handle him.
Well, anyway, I should be there before too long. Okay, tell us when you got a date. Oh, and Kyajo, if you're gonna work, you should take another look in the mirror first.
Just before they end the call, Suzuha decided to warn her. Miles stood up and walked towards the closet without turning off the camera. She vanished from view, but a moment later... Thanks, Maho. She must have seen how terrible she looked because she let out a very unfeminine scream. Thank you, Maho. They relaxed for a moment after turning off the video chat. Suzuha thought back to the time before she'd become a time traveler. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and end it here for today. Okay, we finally got our first ending and we're in the middle of getting another, but we'll have to continue next time. I may or may not stream tomorrow. I'll see. We'll see. If I don't, then I'll stream after tomorrow. More than likely. But again, we'll see. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed and hope to see you all later. Peace.